Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new role-playing game show, a star-spanning sandbox game by the name of Free Spacer. And you might be wondering, what is this game and what it's about? Well, I will clue you in on that in a little bit, but also just wanted to say that if you just hit ! Free Spacer in chat, it will bring you to the Kickstarter for the game, which there's a much better description of whatever I can do. But it's essentially hard sci-fi sandbox. We're a scout ship going off trying to get paid. Your standard debt runner scenario where we have loans to pay off and we're taking jobs. And to describe a little bit more about all that stuff, will be this amazing crew that I have along with me here. And with that, I'm going to introduce them. So I'm going to start over here in my top left, which is that way. It's a mirrored cameras. Adam.
Yo.
Hello, welcome.
I'm Adam. I'm Hacker Blinks on Twitter, and I'm going to be playing Chuck, who lost his last name in the war. How about you, Alice?
Hi, I'm Alice, also known as Tafcat around the interwebs, Tafkat. I'm going to be playing Hushinalia Valaxis. Most people just call her Hush. She's a snake lady.
Cool. Adaser?
That's me on Twitter at Adaser, Adaser. And I'm octopale, kind of, sort of. Tukavi Rekana is my name, and it's very easy to say. And then Ben?
Yeah, I'm Ben Dutter. You can find me online just by my name. I'm playing Captain Plark, who is a strange, amphibious, multi-eyed creature.
Yes. We were playing all sorts of cool creatures in this cool game. I'm going to bring us over to the map screen, and where I'm going to start to cast a ritual that we all know very well, called Wall of Text. It is an uninterruptible spell. To give you an idea here, this game. So it is sort of like your hex crawly or hex jumpy space-time sandbox here. We're going to be taking care and taking our camera's going to be following the crew of a specific ship, a ship of a class of individuals known as Free Spacers. And where do Free Spacers come from? They are sort of their own sort of extra class that sits above the rest of the factions of the world. And why is that true? Well, a long time ago, there seemed to be this large war that sort of devastated a lot of people, and now we've kind of entered this Cold War, and there's an alliance between all of the various powers in space. I kind of came together and decided that it would be good to have better exploration and trade, for the benefit of everybody here. Totally not to be manipulated and used in times of their own ends. No, that can't be right at all. A group called the Free Spacers, and we are all members of this crew. They are cross-planetary, cross-factionary allies, all belonging to a specific vessel. And for this short series today, we're going to be playing as a scout ship. There's plenty of different options to pick, but we're going to be scouting because we want to do a little bit of your Star Trek-y style in addition to your Firefly and Babylon 5e science fiction. So I'm super excited about that. And I realize I have not introduced my own self. For those who don't know, I'm EricVulgaris. He, they pronouns everywhere, and I'm EricVulgaris on everywhere. So I will be your game master this evening. I also need to say that this game is sponsored. I have a partnership with the designer here. This designer is an amazing guy named Christoph. So shout out to Christoph, and see this game in all its glory over on the Kickstarter, as I said before. Cool. So with that being said, take us over to our ship. Our ship is the designated DEV Jin Chimera. But in order, my wall of text is kind of run out, so I would love someone else to describe what DEV stands for, and then start describing a little bit of their character. Mm-hmm.
It's the designated exploratory vessel. We're a scout ship, and that's just the designation for our ship.
Yeah. So all Free Spacer ships get different designations, and we have decided to go with DEV. And so here's where I want to begin the show. The camera's going to cut through the introduction. The text goes off. Free Spacer shows up. We see a bunch of various star systems. We see our ship navigating some stuff. We see some explosions. Our ship driving, flying right through them. Some scanner readings on planets. Giant crystalline spiders running away from them. More explosions, and then directed by Christoph. GM and all the credits go, right? And then so where the scene's going to begin is that we're going to be inside the ship. The ship is en route, so imagine we sort of are traveling faster than light. So we, space is being bent around us. Very classic sort of like warp speed kind of like looks outside of our windows here of the ship. And one by one, I want you to each individually describe one more time your character, sort of what they look like, maybe their role on the ship, and specifically to give us a little sense of feel for them. Tell me about a reminder that they have of home at this moment and what their home could look like, and what is they're doing in these moments, idling by as you're traveling to your first your mission, which I'll explain after this.
Any particular person you'd like to go first?
No, whoever's most excited.
Oh, I'll do it since I've been talking anyways.
Sure.
I'll volunteer for tribute. So Hush is like 6'8" almost, with like double jointed legs sort of deals and like very like dull green skin. Has like her snake nose pierced. And I think she's in the engine room of the ship talking to someone. No one else is in there, but she's like asking for loadout like data and stuff. And then you see like on the intercom, like a voice, like a feminine voice comes up. It keeps answering her questions and like joking with her. And she calls it Quinn. And I think like that's that voice is both their reminder of home and also their like one friend from back then.
Ah, cool. And what does Quinn have? Is it just a disembodied voice?
So Quinn has at least for Quinn has a integrated like personality and
Right.
look, but people can override that if they want to.
Right.
But their like default look is a sort of like androgynous looking, sort of like sort of punky, I guess is how I describe them. Like
Sure.
slicked back hair, like torn jeans sort of deal. They look like they should be at like a 90s punk rock concert sort of deal, and like that's sort of their personality too. But yeah.
Sure. So when they do reply to your requests, do they carry like accents of like of your tongue or any sort of mannerisms, or is it a little bit more just like visually the same, and then they have a robotic?
It's neither visually the same or like accents or anything. It's mostly just they've been together so long, and like all of the memories of like are back there with Quinn essentially doing what she's doing now, being an engineer, but in a different setting around different people.
Right. Okay. It's just a long connectedness to them. A nostalgia. You guys can finish each other's
sentences. Yes.
Sentences. Yes.
Sure. I'll indulge you there.
Thank you. Awesome. Cool. So where does the camera go next?
Yo, Rye, you're going.
It's me. Ray is like laying down in a little, it looks like a regular sized room for a regular sized person. But then like a little alarm begins to go off, and they like get up and like put the rest of their suit on, and they notice they kind of move a little strangely, and then they push a button, and the water level that you couldn't see begins to drop in their room, and they kind of shake a bit, like shake their hands out, and for a second, like when they do this, you're like, is that too many fingers? And they open the door and walk into the hallway, and there is like an argument between two little robots. One is like a big head and just like chirping away in like a high pitched tone, and then there's one like a squat one because it's always tall and small, chirping away in like a low pitched tone, but like with like whirring noises. And they like just kind of peel back a thing and like start fixing the the chip and the program because one's speaking in the wrong language, and you got to fix that. You can't have things that aren't communicating on your ship, otherwise things don't get done. And if things don't get done, then the reports are wrong, and then if the reports are wrong, then all the facts are wrong, and the facts go in the history books. And if the history books are wrong, nobody's going to know what's happening. So yeah, they're just basically fixing two dumb robots outside in the hallway.
Right, and so one of the major languages of our system is called NetSpeak. Now, what is the other language that this thing's speaking? Is it just like, is it broken? Is it just giving out like a Google Translate garbage that's just not a language, or is it a different language?
I think it was funnier earlier in the day, and they forgot to change it back, if they translated it between 3 different languages and then back to the original NetSpeak just to see what would happen.
Oh, but that switch got left on.
They forgot to take off the trilingual Google Translate app that they put in the cleaning robot.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't be fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Chuck or Plark?
Sure. Chuck's hanging out in the front, driving the ship, and he's kind of relaxed at the wheel. He's wearing an old military outfit, really worn. The patches are all torn off. It looks like there's officer insignia that used to be on it, but it's all been ripped off as well. And it's very heavily customized to have random grabbable pockets, but also be kind of mobile in general. But he's kind of gazing off into the middle distance of the starfield, and he notices something weird, and he calls back to Hush, and he's like, "Hey, have you been messing with our repulsion fields again? Because I've got this shimmer, and I'm really worried that it's a problem with my ship."
Snake cursing into your comm for like a solid minute, and then just should be cleared up now, sir.
Yeah. I mean, you do you. This is the best ship in the galaxy, but I just want to know how to make it run.
Is there a lot of eye rolling?
Yeah.
On Hush's side, because like I'm just twitchy about anything that messes with the controls a little bit,
Sure.
even if they're good messing, because it's just comfort kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's rough. Cool.
And toss it to Ben.
So yeah, Plark, he's the captain of the ship, stands about 4.5 feet tall, has sort of the body proportions of if a tree frog was standing on its hind legs fully extended. So a very kind of diamond-shaped upper torso that goes into sort of a large scoop-shaped hood behind his head. And the most noteworthy thing about his species, the Glathorn, he has 5 holes in his face, and they're essentially like very similar to a human ear canal, and that is how his people perceive things. So he would be sitting cross-legged on like a very ascetic, simple sort of like tube, like a hard beanbag chair, essentially in his chambers in the dark, and he has a small like a visor, Geordie-style visor over his like hooded face, or his large fleshy face. And it's just making little, very rapid, clicky, beepy sounds. And the sound is what's actually transmitting into his sensory organs. And he's basically just reading the like loadout of the ship and all of the stats and charts and things like that. Probably a similar view to what Hush is looking at. And he would hold in his hand sort of reflexively, like the equivalent, I'm not sure what it would look like, but the equivalent of like a small data chip, or like a USB drive type thing is what I'm imagining.
Mm-hmm.
And it just has some like simple etchings on it. And it's no one's really quite sure what's on it, except for maybe, can you pronounce your character's name again for me today, sir? Is it Ray?
That was muted. Raykana?
Raykana. So probably Raykana would know since we work together, but it's from his past during the war.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So dovetailing back to what Chuck was talking about, the blurb comes back on the ship. Now you guys are traveling at super high speeds. And this blurb is not going away this time. In fact, the scanners and systems have shown that it is in fact a tangible thing, not necessarily a glitch in the systems. And most notably, is that it has a danger of throwing off your trajectory a little bit, which a little bit in astronavigation terms is a lot. So I'm going to need you guys to tell me what you do as you discover this little blip in your travel. Essentially an unavoidable plot hole. Or excuse me, a pothole. And as you guys are
flip there, Eric. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just to start, because I want to demo sort of what a role looks like in this game.
I mean, if it's about navigational stuff, I'm happy to fuck with that because I'm both on engine and like I do astronavigation, so I'd be trying to work around that and send coordinates and flight paths to Chuck.
Yeah, I'd be like, there's something going on up here, and you know better than I about what it might be. What the heck?
Right. So are you going? So just tell me what you guys are doing. So essentially, yeah, it's kind of like a pothole that's coming up that is causing interference in some of your fields that are sort of like holding space time together here.
I mean,
so are you going to do something to like either like pilot around this, assisted by an engineering, or is this an engineering problem that needs to be solved?
My plan is to like if it's just like signal interference, like that sort of deal, that might be unnecessary to like astronavigate around it. So I would rather just change our shield frequency to filter out theirs, and so we're just fine.
To compensate for it.
Yeah, I'd like to compensate with our shields.
Yeah, right. It's probably just like some smattering of some gamma ray burst left over somewhere. It's probably not a big deal. So this is awesome. So then we can do our first roll, and then Alice, you're going to be the one who's going to do our first roll. So here's what's going to happen, right? So Hush, I'm going to tell you here what the difficulty is,
sure.
And you're going to be adding this to your pool. The way this game works is so everyone at home gets to see. This is a pool-based game. What's going to happen is you're going to roll a series of dice, and then you're going to be looking for a number of successes and failures. Right, and you're going to be trying to. You're also going to be rolling your difficulty dice along with you, trying to cancel out your failures and stuff like that, as well as adding up your successes. And I can tell you here that this is something you have seen before. This is a regularly difficult challenge. So you're looking at like 3.
Threat die?
No, a difficulty of 3. Threat die here, adding to your pool would be about 2.
Okay. Boo. I think I rolled that right.
Yep. So you roll d10s. You add your d6s. I'm going to pray to Christoph that the macro does work and that is true. That the numbers are right.
It looks correct.
Right. Like I'm looking at it and it looks correct. Exactly. I have not tested it enough to know it for sure. Just like we have to test your scale. But I know it has been tested long enough to know for sure. Hush's engineering shield modulation skills. So this was perfect. What skill did you roll? Just so everyone knows.
Field dynamics and specifically shield mechanics.
Yes. Okay. I figured as much, especially starting out because people watching and stuff will not know what skills are going on. Calling that stuff out, and maybe you did, and I just missed it. But that was super good. So you roll that. You roll your d10. You add your difficulty dice. And you got 4 successes, which beats the difficulty of 3. So yeah, it's no problem. So what happens is that this gamma ray burst. So as an engineer, as part of the group, I'll give you an additional little like thing about this, right?
Sure.
This also comes off when most common occurrences for this are literally leftover residual, basically like almost like quantum trash left from ships going by. Sometimes this just happens. Other times, this is unscheduled or coded messages.
Sure.
Like sort of like involving quantum tunneling type, like secure message sending, and you basically just like bumped into one.
Is there like a way to tell for sure which is which?
Not unless you do some analysis.
Well, that's what I mean. And what sort of analysis would that be to figure that out? Is I guess my question.
Mm-hmm. So I'll be mostly signal analysis work. But just in general, I want everyone to know sort of like the pace of what's going on right now in terms of the game, right? You guys are still a few days away out from your journey. And your journeys, you're trying to head over, and this is, I'm going to read over the contract that everyone's doing today, right? This is the GEC, which is your all's patron It's a standard contract. This is contract 02156-A or Alpha. Is a survey mission, and your objective for this survey contract is to discover the nature of a technology anomaly near a nebula, an ultraviolet nebula called the Celsius Cloud. It's a little bit, and I'll show in the hex map in a little bit. It's just a little bit north of that. You're supposed to take a sample of the anomaly, whether that is they give you options of either video, radiographic, or physical sample, depending on what it is. Basically, they discovered something out here, long range scanners, and they need you to go confirm what's the cause of this this essentially a gamma ray burst, and on like a micro scale. Right. And then, of course, as all restrictions for GEC is that this is proprietary, you're supposed to keep the discovery a secret, like you can't be selling this or telling this information to others as you're traveling. So you have a few days. This is pretty routine. You don't feel particularly pressured or anything like that in terms of time of getting this contract, unless that is something that your character cares about, right? Mission first, etc. But in terms of what kind of skill would be to analyze here, there's a couple of different ones we could look at, right?
Sure.
What were you thinking immediately?
I mean, so it depends whether or not it seems like to tell the difference. I'm sort of looking.
It's going to be probably engineering.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at currently.
Mm-hmm. I have the wrong character sheet open. Oops.
I mean, I guess the first thing I see is inscription of some kind, like a trace roll.
Maybe if you were sure it was a quantum message.
Otherwise, communications is better than engineer.
Sure.
With like an interface, sort of deal or something, like a research, which I'm not very good at.
Yeah. It's probably research.
Yeah.
Now, I can try and hook these comms up to this. I've got 4 dice for interface research.
Yeah. If I would, I think that works. Rather than try and do it myself, I'd be like, Chuck, this could be just simply quantum flux trash left behind by some vessel, but it could be an encoded message. I've sent some data your way. If you want to look at it further, I'd appreciate it. I have some things down here I have to do first.
Sure. So he turns away from the joysticks and everything, flips a bunch of buttons, taps on a touch screen and whatever. And how many threat dice should I drop on this?
This will be 3, and the difficulty of this analysis so this is a difficult analysis, not so much that it's a difficult to see what this is. It's difficult to determine whether this blip, is actually something encoded or just a rock. Right?
Is there a way for me to assist?
Yeah, can I get advantage or anything?
Yeah, this is done by doing setup rolls.
Sure.
So rather than adding a die, you would do a setup action.
I mean,
but I think
Astro.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess so. Yeah.
So I feel like so in other words, your assistance is kind of already being factored into this. Unless you can think you could assist another way, or if Ray or Plark have any suggestions that they want to assist.
More just asking to know what an assistance would look like.
Right. It's kind of like an improvement of. I would probably improve the effect of what's going on here.
Sure.
More than anything. Like you would get a better result at the end of it.
Sure.
Rather than necessarily dice.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just as a quick note, Plark would not interfere or intervene with his perception of his specialist's specialty. Like, he's very hands off unless they're like, oh no, we need help. Then he would come, but otherwise he's just content to be okay. They got it.
They know what they're doing.
Ray has been trained as a sensor analyst. So if this is coming over the open comms, that something needs to be looked at and diagnosed electronically, they are booking it.
I think
Ray. If Ray does this all the time,
they're not great at it, but they try real hard.
But if Ray does this all the time, and the perception is that they're better at it, Chuck doesn't know anything but flying the ship as far as he's concerned. So what he would probably do is he'd call for you.
I think, if you want to do it yourself, there's a window that like as I run along the hallway, you could totally do it. I believe in your power to have more dice than me, and have that work narratively. But somewhere on the ship.
But the kind of person that Chuck likes working with the squad, and everybody's got the job that they're supposed to be doing. And interface is not his job. He just happens to know how to do it, right? And so he's like, okay, I'll set up all the equipment for you. And Ray, when you get up here, you can work your magic. And how about that? And he has no idea that you're not super good at it. That's not the important thing.
Very confident.
It's just that it's your job, and everybody's got a job. So should I roll with threat dice then, or what's for that kind of setup? I'm trying to angling for a setup roll.
Yeah, but I think you made it a little bit easier. No, I think just the fictional positioning there is changed based on what you were joking about. So I think rather than I was originally thinking of something between like a 5 or a 4. It's probably just solidly a 4.
Sure.
So 4 threat dice, and that's difficulty.
Should I still roll, or should we let Ray roll?
I mean, it sounded like you were passing it off to Ray.
Yeah, that's the intention.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case,
what's the worst that could happen?
what would we decide? This was a research.
Yeah,
you're
research.
Okay, and no advantage.
No.
Okay. And 3 threat.
4.
4 threat. Nope, 4. Not letting me change it. Okay, there we are. My numpad was off.
Maybe I should take
Great!
over.
I did it!
Oof.
I guess
Yeah.
these 6s though. That's like the system, right? That's
No, it's not exactly. All right. So, good news and bad news with this fail. The good news is that no one's dying, no one's hurt, and you have uncovered. Yes, this is indeed. This was a burst communication message. The bad news is that you have irrevocably damaged whatever it was as it was going.
So
it's
Ray,
that 3 times Google Translate thing I had.
Yeah, basically you have peered into the message, and if you don't mind, I really think it'd be really funny if you also, while you were examining it, accidentally, because you were debugging the computer triple translate thing, it just triple translated it as a one-time read message, and it's just completely utter garbage.
Yeah.
It's like trying to open like a Word document in like, like an encrypted
It's all
document
Windings and vaguely Shakespearean.
Yeah,
it's
in
not
Paint.
great.
Like opening it up in Paint, right? Like it just like doesn't. It just is. It's utterly destroyed.
So what I say?
yeah. So Ray, talk to me. What's going on?
I think it's some sort of new language we've discovered.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There's a little bit of an eye roll. I'm like, okay.
I know I've said this before, but this time I think I've really nailed it. I can't think of any reason this could have gone wrong.
But you were saying for sure it was a message, correct?
Yes. And if we decode this previously coded and then recoded message.
If it's 100% a message, then I think I'd message Clark and be like, I can try and trace the message. Do we care? Like it's like a text thing. I'm not even saying this over comms because I'm sending this directly to Clark, being like, what is priority?
Clark would basically respond something to like a very short syntax of like mission critical.
The response is no idea.
Then he would actually call you or like ping you or whatever over voice comm to talk about it in more detail.
Sure. And Hush is just like, sir, I don't know what the message is, and I'm not, obviously neither does Ray. And
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Well, I think this was just a private conversation between
Okay.
like Clark and I.
I can just sense it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you're still off talking about the thing.
Yeah.
And Clark's like, and yeah, Hush is just like, I can try and track it if we care. Do we?
Do you have sufficient cycles?
Time? We have all the time in the world while we're traveling.
If it will not impact efficiency, carry.
I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, I'll try to track it then. Trace it, rather.
Do you have sufficient cycles? Is super good.
Clark, you're the best.
Clark.
He knows. So,
Just imagine you haven't left your beanbag chair this
No.
whole time. You're just like, do you have sufficient cycles?
yeah, he has this
Just
big
laying
like yard tube over his eyes right now.
Okay,
That's so,
so I would like to trace the signal just to see where it's coming from. Because if it's on the way, we can stop and check. If it's not, we'll tell someone else about it.
Sure. The problem here is that it is this one. The good news is that you haven't lost the opportunity,
Yeah.
but you have lost the opportunity of this one, because there's another one coming up too on your sensors. That I think Chuck would tell you, and then you see another one, and another.
Cool.
Not from the same source, or like different directions. Like you're imagine like a fanning out, like a cone of them is getting shot
Yeah,
this way.
they're trying to make sure the
and
message is
these
received.
are just yep. There's multiple ones.
Definitely want to trace one of them. Don't care which.
I'm gonna fly towards the closest one and try and get us fly the ship around so that it just rams right into the biggest sensor array we got.
Okay, so you're trying to
Move
pilot
the
it to get the
antenna on
best.
top of the TV.
Yeah, it sounds like you're trying to set up my trace roll.
I'm trying as hard as I can.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Okay.
So
that sounds like a perfect setup. It shouldn't be that difficult. You're a pretty trained pilot, right?
I
mean,
I've
how
got
long you been
6
flying?
dice. I've got 6 dice pilot grav drives. So
Well, okay.
That's
Then-
it. Oh, come on.
maybe aligning your sensor array with a quantum burst is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world.
no, that's why you
to set
gotta
you up
push
here.
it.
Yeah. Cool. So I'll give you difficulty 4.
4 threat dice or 4
Yeah.
successes. Okay, 4 threat dice. Check it out. Let's see how this goes. I think I'm okay.
Easy. Am I gonna sneeze?
Look
Excuse
at that
me.
professionalism.
Yeah. I was like,
Oh, so good.
the older you get, let me tell you, everyone who's new at streaming, the older you get, the more you get better at detecting sneezes early on. Speaking of sensor array data. So awesome. Yeah, you line up perfectly with the sensor array, reducing the difficulty of the test for sure.
Awesome.
So who's doing the listening in?
Yeah, hush, totally.
I'm like, so I imagine it's almost like similar to like Kaylee's engine room and Firefly, but like there's more computers around. Like it's not just the engine. Because I'm also maintaining like shields, and I'm also the one doing like computery hackery stuff when necessary. So like there's a few different terminals around there for that. So I'm gonna like essentially swivel chair over to the other terminal and try and trace one of the signals. Yeah.
Because the difficulty's been lessened, let's go with a difficulty 2.
Cool.
So 2 threat dice.
Is there a way I can give myself more dice?
Yes. So you can push yourself using your suit. You could charge yourself by using power, and then when you crit, or if you would crit, by rolling high numbers, you can actually recover those charges.
All right, I would like to do that.
You can, yeah, and it's just say you can only hold enough of them equal to your reactor, and if you have more, then it's sort of overloaded. But the cool thing is that you can donate charge to other people too.
Cool. So I would like to do the thing.
Note also that we are at 5 charge because we have 2 crits
Yes.
that went off.
Cool.
So something to pay attention to. That is 3 or 4 successes gives us a
Yeah.
charge, and if we get 5 successes, we get 2 charges, which is
Cool.
It's a double critical. Yep. Thank you.
So I will spend 1 charge to do the thing. How do I add that? Like, how do I add that to the actual roll?
I think the macro should ask you for it.
So
Is
trace.
that the advantage?
Yeah, there's an advantage queue, and then there's the next one's threat dice. So do I just put 1 in the advantage thing?
I think so.
Okay. Threat dice, you said 2. Boop. 1 success, which is all I need.
Okay. Which is not enough for to recover anything from your
I don't
reactor,
think
but
we
it's
have to beat the threat dice success total though. It's just to like we don't have to beat it, right? It's just like we roll the threat dice and it counts against our number of successes. And if you beat,
Well, yeah. So let me explain it a little bit. Right. The result of your roll determines the outcome of the task. Right. You compare your hits and misses. The more hits indicate a success, while more misses indicate a failure. A result of a 1 is a partial success. A 2 is complete success. A 3 to 4.
partial success.
Yeah, it's a critical success, and a 5 is a double critical. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah. So a success of a 1 is what I was saying is like. So there's a partial. Okay. So I know what this looks like. These bursts for you to get it is scrambled. You don't get enough information, but you know that these are these are imperative, and they're coming from our good old friends, an old god, or the specifically the religious communications
Cool.
in nature of our favorite theocracy.
My
haven't brought up yet.
In that case, I think my response to Plark is non-mission critical. Advise ignoring. Send. Just-
He would basically send back the equivalent of like a check mark, like affirmative, essentially.
No, I like the idea that somehow, like, Plark has a verbal check mark.
Oh, totally.
That's just some kind of language specific thing, like a click.
Yeah, it's like that, but like the tone goes down and then goes up.
Yeah,
like you
right.
just tell where it would be on a news sheet.
Well, Glithorn have like kind of cat-shaped like beaks, like a little turtle mouth that sort of goes like. So I totally could imagine it being like a whistle or something like that. But anyway, yeah, it's a visual representation of like a text message of that.
Yeah. I think like there's like a look in Hush's eye where it's like, yeah, I don't care. Like that's unimportant to us, and just I'm like, yeah, like just not sharing the information with anyone else, and just being like, yeah, it's garbled mess. We don't really need to care about it.
It's okay. It's let me specify some more, because you're like, this is just
Sure.
garbled mess. You're able to like get like a 60% match of this one with a partial success, right? It's definitely saying help us. This is our last message. Like this is our last confession. Like these are like, and you see like other ones out there too.
I see. Help us, but like it's the old gods, right? Like it's them. They're what did we?
I was going to tell you. They're the care surrounds of the eternal astrolabe.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask Clark a question, because they're the captain. So I essentially just want to know precedent for like humanitarian things when we don't particularly care about like that faction, as like none of us are attached to them, right? So like what's the precedent?
Clark,
Because Hush doesn't give a shit.
right. Clark is super humanitarian. His whole like ethos for going out into space and becoming a free spacer is because he was just a number cruncher, and he lived his whole long life doing nothing but analysis. So he does hold life, all forms of sentient life, as very meaningful. So like if there was an opportunity for him to potentially rescue or pass along a message or something, he would be interested in that, but not at the expense of his crew, who he views as very, they supersede that precedent.
Sure. In that case, if there's precedent for Plark, like if Plark found this information out and would go and want to do that, like then it's more like, fuck, okay, I guess we should, because Hush herself just doesn't care about them really at all, because they fucked over Soul so bad. So
Right.
it's just like,
It's definitely a missionary vessel, but the name of it is garbled.
would send that and be like, still advise ignoring.
So
That's good.
Plark would send back like the equivalent of the neutral sign, just like so he would actually get up from that and do the little chime in the ship for us to all sort of meet in the same place to discuss, and that might be at the helm. I don't know really how the interior of our ship.
There might be like a meeting room, like
Yeah.
around a table.
Yeah, how big is it, Eric? It's probably a good time to describe that.
Right. Your ship's pretty big. It's a Corvette class ship. I don't offhand. I don't remember the exact dimensions of it, but a Corvette class ship is not small. It's roughly the size of a football field.
But the interior space, am I right in thinking it's more like that of a submarine, or is it more like the Enterprise, where it's meant to be
submarine? It's more functional, but you guys have made it quite homey.
I keep picturing it like the Normandy, like interior-wise in my head, because it's the only thing I could ever think of with sci-fi.
Yeah.
So like, of course, there's a meeting room in my head, but if there isn't, that's fine.
We've got 24 seats. We've got a transport trailer.
It's a big space.
It's a big space.
Okay.
And also, Ray is saying to Chuck, well, you say that because the messages are coming in more frequently, then something important must be happening. Perhaps it's like they've just discovered space travel. Wouldn't that be exciting?
Ray,
Yeah.
Chuck is smiling. He's nodding. He's giving occasional sounds like he's listening to you, but he's trying to deal with all the potholes because
There's a lot of flaws in my theories. I read a lot of adventure books when I was out in my research studies. So
Ray dreams of making first contact.
One day.
Why not?
So yeah, meeting thing.
Yeah, Plark would just basically, it would be like a chime or something, or an alert on everybody's HUD.
Yeah.
I imagine Quinn messages everyone, right? Like
Yeah, that
that's
could be.
like it's just like
I input something very boring, but Quinn makes it a lot more interesting, obviously.
This is where we get to see what our displays look like, because part of this game is making
Your pans.
My pans.
Yes.
What's my pans look like?
Yep.
Mine looks like a mini coral reef that just floats in front of me.
well, does yours respond first or does mine? Mine's like an old school pocket watch that hangs over the dash.
well, it's like virtual stuff for you personally, right? Like you're the only one who sees your version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it physical?
No.
I misinterpreted that.
You can,
like it's
no,
say
you
again,
can modify. You can modify your version, and you can have other people see that if they're connected.
I see.
They see your.
Like-
so we can have other people see them. We don't have to.
Yeah, imagine they had the option to be like turn off avatar. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Like,
Okay.
you could do that.
Well, I mean, I see. As soon as you start talking pans, I think a little cyberpunk too, where it's like, yeah, we get ads too. Like,
so a bunch of little clownfish just like float across and like bubbles, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, right now you're not connected to the internet per se, unless you connected your comm system through subspace travel. It's usually when you get into a system, that's when you do get the ads and all that stuff. So right now, this is just shortwave brand, just your own little LAN.
The pan, doesn't it download, like when we go to a place that does have a connection, it updates all the recent data, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean,
Does that
so
for you.
yeah, like for Hush, it's literally just Quinn being like, "Hey, there's a meeting going on." It's like, cool, thank you. It's just like Hush treats them like a person, and like they have like their own avatar that like walks around the ship and stuff for Hush, and they like aren't always present in the same room, but can always talk.
Well, there is a ship AI or VI too, right? So,
what I'm more saying is that the VI is always present, but the physical version that Hush associates with the AI isn't always.
Right. Okay.
Because it could be like off in another part of the ship for Hush essentially.
So do we meet in the lounge or the galley or just somebody's random space?
I'd like a lounge because I like it being like a weird like 70s lounge with like too many cushions, even though it's in space.
It's yeah, totally.
Clark definitely spent a lot of time thinking about this room. As a logistics officer with 6 dice in personnel management or whatever it's called, group dynamics, thank you. He's very aware that comfort is a key factor to ship morale. So yes, it's a very nice lounge.
It's
you
like
read
a
the
late
GC
90s
handbook.
tech. It's like a late 90s tech company.
Yes.
I was gonna say the exact same thing, and so I wanted to ask you, what is the GEC recommended or like handbook recommended form of recreational entertainment? site? Like, is it a foosball table? You know what I mean? Like, what is
Right.
what is the thing in the ship that is the designated entertainment
Tech company, it's a
square?
ping pong table, obviously.
Yeah,
I've
something
worked-
something
But
that
we're
wouldn't have
surveyors.
a piece that would get loose though, because Clark would be annoyed with that. You know, it would need to be like air hockey that's like
Oh.
magnetic that you can't remove it from the table or
Do you
something.
know those the top-down flying games where you fly and you shoot a bunch of stuff? It's
Yeah.
like that, except it's a VR of like a display table that pops up, and you can like race things, and like the table moves, but your ship stays where it is. It's all holograms.
I'm into it.
That is the GEC designated fun center.
Yeah.
Okay.
God damn it. Hush has been known to hack it and play other games.
Yeah.
You still can't stop the constant pop-ups of like, hey, we're checking in how we're doing. Are you enjoying your time in your
Yeah.
designated fun center? How
Have you
can we
reviewed
help
us
you?
yet? Later.
Yeah, have you improved? Yeah, have you reviewed our app yet?
Have you given us 6 nebulas on space reviews?
Yeah, exactly.
Getting too
Sorry.
real, guys.
Yeah,
Too
I
real.
know. Well, space is too real.
So yeah, Clark would basically, you know, be at the perfectly efficient pace from wherever he was, his captain's quarters equivalency. So if he's there first or not, it wouldn't matter. But he would sort of walk in this strange, like very high. Each step, his head is bobbing up and down very high in a strange flamingo-like way. Arms behind his back, and he's very short. He thinks he's very imposing, but he's 40 kilos and
I feel like
tall.
oh god, we have to be in the hallway just to get the contrast shot. Cause like you're tiny and like really and like she's super
Definitely.
lanky. Like her arm, she's like 6'8" and her arms go like almost down to like her knees. Like there's it's
So- When I was creating my person, I said, "How tall is a lizard person?" I'm half that.
See, we're more eye to eye.
I can get taller though, but I choose to be little.
Sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, once everybody would get there, Clark would basically just kind of, he wouldn't even say anything necessarily, but just expectantly look at whoever had the most kind of burning desire to share, to give status.
I mean,
And-
you're gonna have Ray just
Obviously, Ray.
for like the next hour and a half.
Yes, but they begin to tell you about this new language that they perhaps discovered, and that it's very important that we find out who these people are.
I hate to burst your bubble, Ray. It's not a language.
But is though.
It's an SOS.
Yeah. Super about space with an O.
What are they called again?
What?
So folks,
I can't remember the people sending the
Oh,
message. They're
The Kerserones of the Eternal
Yeah.
Astrolabe.
it's a Kirsaron distress signal.
they're like,
Cool.
On screen, please. And he would just point with a long, froggy finger at the projection monitor.
Quinn
Yeah.
beeps a few times. Beep.
So basically, he would just want to read through it and have everybody kind of digest it.
Right. Here's the problem: is that it seems to be garbled, so much that you're only getting about 60% of the message, and it's rather than an SOS, like per se of like rescue us. It's literally like, this is our last will of the ship. These are the gods as it returns to the astrolabe, and like you're just getting a bunch of broken things. Like it's literally like people like saying there's no hope. So it's not even don't rescue us. It's that this is like someone's last will or last prayers to the foremost researcher. And these are all personal prayers getting sent out.
Is there and sorry, please interrupt me, anybody else, but is there a subtext at all of desperation, like they've accepted their fate, or is this literally like a last will, like it's too late? Because what I'm getting at is if there seems to be any perceptible chance of hope, then that's a different response.
No, they were on their way. They were en route in space as well, where they encountered some sort of malfunction. They call it a sin, right? Some sort of technical sin, and it has ruptured their ship, and there's no chance of hope. What
is the main thrust of the will, or like What is there? Is it just a description? Or is there a
Forgiveness.
list of manifest or?
No, it's for their souls. It's a prayer to their actual for forgiveness for whatever transgressions that are caused for the destruction of their ship, their souls in a sense, so they could all have a peaceful afterlife. It's like a very common like sort of creed at the end of it. That's very much sort of like a your all father type prayer, or like a Hail Mary kind of like flavor text of we have lost any chance of saving this. Please save us, us poor sinners here.
Save our souls, not our
Save
bodies.
our souls. Yeah, exactly.
So Plark would then just sort of like turn with his big wide head of holes over towards everybody. Any interpretation beyond what is obvious?
I still recommend ignoring the message.
Well, if they are dead already, then we shouldn't waste time, and ignoring these requests for the final death would make them upset at us. They want to save someone who don't want to be saved. Unless they only think they want to be saved, don't want to be saved. And we should save them because it's still possible, and they've just given up to the gods because that's what religious people do. They give up very easily.
There's not enough information to go for off the text to confirm or deny.
Captain, give us an order and I shall follow.
We will save this message for now, and otherwise carry on.
Right.
Cool. Awesome.
So, and you guys would know Plark would have a stance of like, if people request not to be bothered, even if he views them as needing to be bothered, he wouldn't go out of his way to do that. So he's very like, he's almost hyper, what's the word I'm looking for? Like overly respectful of somebody's autonomy to an extent to where it actually causes issues at times. But anyway.
Yep. Hush is like genuinely just kind of cool to let those people die. So it's not even like we shouldn't bother them if they won't be said. It's like, fuck it. Okay, cool. Let's move on.
Yeah, Chuck and Hush fought them in the war, and it's just like, screw those guys.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously, Plark and Raykana both were involved too. So it's like, there's no love lost, but at the same time, it's just like life lost, right? So
I think Ray's like, well, it's not like it's a species or a planet. They're just like a people. So
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really have that pull to log their last or save them. So keeping track of these records is a thing I will now focus my energy on.
Yeah, so Plark would transfer that data or whatever to Raykana and just let them do their archivist thing and then carry on, I guess. Dismiss everybody.
Carry on, my wayward son.
So
We are passing the sun.
do you guys both maliciously archive anything here when it comes to anything about our favorite Carcerones here, or do you give them the proper historical burial they deserve?
It is my responsibility to every species I come across to record things as factually as possible and not let my emotions get in the way of that job that I don't actually have anymore because I was made redundant. But I still uphold those beliefs.
Right.
Plark trusts Ray, so nope.
Where are you archiving these? Are you archiving them in the ship, or are they personal? Like, where are these logs?
I think I would do it in the ship, but have a copy of them because I've probably been on enough planets that their apocalypse was explosion to lose a shuttlecraft and not like I keep doubles. Very studious, facetious.
So the ship AI has one, or VI rather, and also you have one.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you're writing this into your personal log, and then it gets backed up to the ship.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How often does it get backed up? Just asking.
I mean, it depends. Like, depends on the priority of the data. I imagine is how I've set up Quinn. So certain priority things are backed up like hourly, and then
So-
certain things are backed up like whenever Ray backs them up.
Yeah,
We're all
Ray's stuff gets backed up more frequently than it probably should because they
Right.
think a lot of stuff is more important than it actually is.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So then the first thing you notice is that as you finish this log, you have an error connection to the system's backup.
We're all
And
gonna die. Hush.
It won't connect as you like. You're really like this is a standard routine thing that you're doing. Nothing did wrong. You just get the sort of like red triangle connection failed, retrying connection failed.
That's not right.
Everything else is working. It's just this backup that you just.
I tried breaking it into smaller packets and
Right.
then sending it in case it doesn't.
Um,
I gotta figure out that, don't I?
During just for a bit of world building, Eric,
Sure.
question wise, like ship to ship hacking, splicing type warfare was a thing, right? Like we're aware
oh,
of
totally.
viruses or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I imagine if we
This
are
is something you never encountered before.
okay,
I
Good
have,
question.
So my like role on this ship, as well as the role of what I've done on other ships, is both like tactical engineer in terms of cyber warfare and shields, but also regular engineer. So like I have like points in like network defense and things like that.
Totally.
Okay.
Which might be relevant if you know what's going on. But this is a
Sure. Oh,
personal
I was
backup.
more saying.
No, thank you for letting me
yeah.
know though, because knowing where
Yes,
your specialties
exactly.
are, I was like, who would I go to?
Yep.
I think I would go to Plark, because they're my boss, and they're my captain, and I followed them to the ship, because that's
Oh yeah.
I'm loyal. They're my boss.
I was more saying that stuff because it's like relevant to world stuff. Like you know what's in
Totally.
the world based on what you know what someone's good at,
Mhm.
right?
And
Yeah.
And there's little boing, boing on your door. They do things in person too much. Yeah.
sure. So Clark would, do the whatever the cool command would be, a snap or something to open the door or whatever the
Sure.
portal would work like.
And Maria's always surprised because their door always takes too long to open because the water has to go down first. And it always catches them off guard. Like, oh, right. So did you change any of the connection ports to the ship? Because I was trying to upload things and I couldn't do that like I normally can. So I thought maybe you'd done something.
Negative.
Right. Okay. Could you try to upload it for me instead of me?
Have you
Maybe it's cleaner
spoken?
then.
Have you spoken with Hush? And so he would get up and start messing with whatever this file is.
Oh, right. I could, yeah. And they go to leave. They know you're working on the file, so they like do that, like take a slow walk towards the door, like looking back, like.
So immediately, you're Plark messing with the file, like in terms of this file can't be manipulated other than it's being on Ray's own personal data. So like you try to copy it over to take a look at it, it fails.
Most peculiar. Seek out Hush. Oh, I think sorry, Gene, you're muted.
I am muted.
Go
I
ahead.
didn't want background noise. So like it looked like me sending like a big whale to you, and the whale just like dissolves before it reaches you, and I'm like, oh, that's not right. Right. Oh, I'm gonna do that, and then they just run off. They leave your door open. They
That's
run.
fine. I think Clark would probably leave the door open most of the time, unless there's some sort of like decompression concern or something where they need to bulkhead. I don't
I
know.
feel like the ship counselor, like always feel open to come talk
That's
to
right.
me.
That's Clark's management style. He's like, I have your 7 scheduled appointments over the next quarter. Like, let's make sure we hold to that calendar.
So many appointments.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So there's the thump, 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 thump. It's getting louder as they run towards you. Your sector. There you
Yeah,
are.
I'm in the back of the ship because that's where the engine is.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I think Hush's door is also currently opening, and like Hush is arguing with Quinn about some kind of like mechanical thing for the ship, I think Hosh wants to replace it, and Quinn's saying, no, that's functional. And she's like, no, you're fucking wrong.
And from down the hallway, like however far this hallway is, you say, "Hush!"
Ray?
I always read about the comms. Look, and I send, and then like a whale shoots out of my AR towards you, and then just like dissolves before it gets to you.
Yeah.
And then I'm like running behind it. Like, isn't that weird?
Yes, I would say so.
What do you think we should do about it?
What was the file?
Oh, well, the memories and confessions of those folks, the gold folks.
Ah, I see.
I can't and just like keep like sending like different kinds of whales, like in different data packet sizes to maybe that'll.
And what would you have me do?
Well, I can't change it or share it. So I would like to. For the records, for history.
So, and I like look over where Quinn's like sitting on a desk or something, and I'm like, run a ship diagnostic. And to like check to see if like that stuff is functioning, like if it's our end or that end. Eric?
Mm-hmm.
So like what like I want to know whether or not it's the packet, right? It's not the ship.
Correct. As far as you guys, there's no way for you to determine the exactly where the ship is or communicate with the ship at this moment. All you could do is like interface with this packet that you picked up, you sniffed.
So we can't wait. Did you just say we can't interact with the ship right now?
Well, you can interact with the Jinn Chimera. You can't interact with the missionary ship, right?
No, I'm not trying to interact with that ship. I'm running it. I'm wanting to know if it's our ship. Like if it can't.
Right. If there's something wrong with the plug or the socket.
Yeah.
Or the thing, the connector or the socket.
Yeah.
The plug and socket's the same thing. I know what I'm talking about. All right. Yeah, I get what you're saying though. Yeah, totally. So I guess how you're going to test this by what? Trying to like transfer some other type of file or something to it?
I mean, mostly I just like literally was like, Quinn, run a ship diagnostic. If Quinn says everything's fine, then it's okay. It's the packet. Let's fuck with that rather.
Sure.
That was my plan.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I don't necessarily know what that would be, but that's my plan.
Well, it's not really it's not a role to do a test here, right? Like to test to see if you can import or something. If you're not doing it from Raikana's machine, works perfect, right?
So okay. I hold out a very long arm from essentially just like, hand me your pan.
Oh, and they take a bracelet off and just like a little coral bracelet. They hand it to you.
Sure. I'm gonna take it over to a workbench, and we're gonna like essentially I'm going to not plug it in directly to the ship itself because that would be dumb right now because I'm worried that there's
a floating scan.
Yeah, essentially I want to put it in its own sort of like virtual, like essentially like fake that a ship is being connected to it.
Right. You want to put it, like a sandbox.
Exactly. I would like to put it in a sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
That's isolated from the ship.
Can you tell that we have a group of software people on this?
I know, that's what makes it so much fun. I know, that's why it's half the reason why I picked. I planned the shit that I planned.
If you have me scale something to 10,000 machines, I'm gonna just hang up this call right now.
Too real.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm gonna put it in a sandbox, and I would like to see. I'd like to. See
this
what
will require
happens.
cajoling.
Cool. There's a few different things I could do here. I don't know if this is hacking or mechanics or like what.
Well, as always, when it comes to any role-playing game, when you have these issues, tell me what it is you're doing, and then we'll reverse engineer it.
Cool. So I'm literally gonna put it in like I think I'm putting it on a workbench. I'm pulling up this like the workbench is going to open up and there's gonna be some ports, and I'm literally going to just separate that from the ship systems itself and plug it in.
It doesn't seem like it wants any machine wants this file. Like the file is bad.
I'm not trying to do with the file net at this point. I'm trying to link the actual machines themselves and like mess with it and see what I can do in because I can do more in a virtual reality in like a virtual sandbox than outside it, right?
Right. So as of right now, the only way you could get to like to manipulate this file and get into a sandbox would be on Rakana's personal.
Cool. In that case, I'll set up a sandbox on Rakana's machine.
Right. That and yeah, Rakana could totally help you, but that doesn't really require a role so much. Like the sandbox isn't the issue. The issue is getting the file into this.
Yeah. So then at that point, I would just. Yeah, I'm going to try and trick the machine and then just run through a bunch of different things in a program to try and get it to function and see and like cross it off a list, right?
Yep, totally. All right, Hush. So I think now Rakana could totally help you with maybe some type of sensor or something like this. You're working on their machine, right?
Sure.
And I think this is beginning to you're starting to begin to notice a sort of spectrally silver on your pan. Right? Like in the coral holes, it's like a little bit like sparkly, a little bit.
Yep. Cool.
And not like the pearlescent sparkly that it normally is.
So essentially, I would take a setup from you and just be like, give me all you know about like what everything you know about your pan and how it's supposed to function.
Right.
So I know what's going wrong.
Honestly, I would allow in-script code or maybe interface network defense. Probably.
If it can be in-script code,
I'm not talking about Raycon.
Oh, sorry.
I talked at my helping role first.
Sorry.
I can't use geosciences architecture because that's how I imagine building this pan.
Totally.
Like as a physical representation of a reef that I recognize and grew up in. I could do code.
I get you. Yeah, I like where your head's at. I really do. But unfortunately not.
I'll do inscription code. No, that's fine. No advantage and 3 threat as per usual. Is that what it? Standard.
No, not for this one. This one's going to be 4.
Okay.
Scaly. No.
Perfect. Doing so good.
Okay.
So I think I do try to explain it like the physicality that I've imagined the internal workings of this thing.
Yeah.
And it's not helpful.
You're not talking in tech terms. You're talking in rocks and things. And I'm just like, okay, never mind.
Your pan goes offline. Your coral's gone. It just.
Oh, wait. The pan or the link? So the bracelet's the link.
Right. The link is there, but your standard nice pinkish red, the salmon colored coral, right?
Mm-hmm.
The coral.
Sure.
I just imagine maybe that's what's in my head, right?
It's shit
It's
color.
withered. It's withered to that to dead coral, that bleached
bone white.
Yeah.
And I snatch it out of your hand. I'm like, what did you? What did you?
I haven't done anything. I'm literally going to put my arms on your shoulder and look at you like, I have not done anything yet. This is what's going to continue to happen until you let me do something. And I'm just going to take it out of your hand, like, and put you in a corner.
Yeah.
Like, literally pick you up and put you in a corner.
Small. I'm very heavy, but I'm small. Yeah.
And I'm going to take it, and we're going to try and do this anyways, without you.
That's probably for the best.
And like, I'm going to have like, because you can still direct thing, I think Quinn is going to be over there, like talking to you. And like, I literally just told her to like distract you.
Yeah. I keep talking about like the places that I grew up that were destroyed and I'll have to reprogram in once I get the new thing for it.
Yeah. Cool. What is my role here?
Right. I'm going to bring something on screen that we're talking about real quick. Is that our ships have scanner, like bioscanner, like heart rate kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And I think as a captain, the captain would probably be able to have the rights to see the rest of the crew. I'm thinking like Aliens, when you have like the panels of like people's heart rates and stuff like that. Yep. and especially as like your management software suite, like you can, like, yeah, I think Plark, if you wanted to, like necessarily like realize something's going on the ship, even though you're not privy to the conversation, you were definitely in a position to like drop into this if you ever wanted to.
He would just observe because he doesn't. Again, he's like hyper responsible, sort of in a way, and so he wouldn't like intercede unless he thought it was an actual problem.
You just saw a spike at the site of Arcana's coral, like that site, like that obviously would do something to the physiology of our sweet Noctopod.
So he would send them a very like neutral, banal, like status okay, like text equivalent to Ray.
They start talking about the reprogramming of the coral and how they'll have to do extra research. And do you still have those pictures that I gave you from that one vacation that I was on that I showed you the pictures for? Because I'm going to have to rebuild it. I don't know what Hush is doing.
Clark is walking in, by the way. Like, well, I'm just seeing this wall of text coming.
I'm ignoring all of them.
Yeah. So he would definitely like, he's actually, you're the only person he's taller on the ship. So he would, sort of like usher you maybe out of Hush's area. So we can do that like off screen, but Clark would try to calm Ray down a little bit.
Okay. Your attempts to calm them down are going to be actually a little bit difficult. Only because Raycana's sensors, like your feedback back to them, even like their own like sort of like voice modulation stuff, is beginning to jam. It's beginning to have staticky effects. This discharge seems to be affecting the rest of their systems. As this is whatever is going on is progressing.
Yeah, I'd really like to try and fix it.
Yeah, fix it.
Okay, so yeah, let's put that scene on hold because I want to see how this other stuff plays out.
Totally.
So what exactly is I've described kind of what I'm doing. I'm just unsure what the actual thing is.
Oh, I thought we were I gave you the choice between inscription code or
that was
interface
her
defense,
setup for me, not remember? Like you said that was their setup, not my action.
Right, to try to so you're doing the sandbox part. And what are you intending it be?
I mean, I'm like code works fine for me.
Right. Sure.
Cool. I will do that. I will spend a charge, so we're down to 3 again.
Okay.
Does my multi-tool help here, or sense or scanner rather?
How are you making it help? It could probably help, but like, what does it look like as it helps?
Well, so the scanner, I like. Let me find. I don't remember what the utility manipulator does.
You haven't used your multi-tool scanner yet. Observing this thing, so yes, it would. I think it's in a position to help. It hasn't.
Cool.
Whatever's going, this anomaly, whatever's going on.
How do I add those dice in the macro?
I think it's under advantage.
It's just so like I just add 3, rather 1 for charge and 2 for survey scanner.
Yeah, all the advantage dice get added
together. Yeah. Cool.
And I'll pull a charge off the ship.
Awesome.
And then threat.
4 again.
5.
Hey,
that's a double crit.
That's a double crit. You recover 2.
Yeah, you better give us something amazing, Eric.
Yeah, you succeed successfully. So this does not fix this doesn't like immediately fix or anything what's going on, but you identify this file, like you make it so you simulate this file going to the ship.
Yeah.
And you're just seeing like red arrows going all across the line, being like the ship is shutting down. It's apparently whatever's in this file, there's something here that's a contagion. And in fact it is if you would have put in a shittier sandbox, it would have realized there's a sandbox. It could have like overruled it. It's kind of like some sort of virus mimic electronic entity that seems to be just spilling over anything you can grab.
So I've cleared it from Ray's pan, but not Ray's systems.
Correct.
Just running over.
Ray's personal computer effects are still affected. Yes.
Yeah, so just gonna like take the pan, run over to Ray, grab Ray, and just to like be like, sorry, Clark, busy, and just drag Ray back to the workshop, like literally if I have to.
Okay,
Like,
so
Trey says something
Chuck-
like, "They're gonna kill me now."
Yeah, Chuck, what are you doing this whole time?
well, first, so Hush is going to pull that charge from the personal stuff because you're using your multi-tool.
Mm.
So you pull the charge from that, but then you also get 2 charge towards it. So you go max to 4.
Okay.
So you should be awesome. Does the ship's still running just fine, right? It drives just fine. It's just quiet up front.
Right, because it hasn't been. Yeah, as far as you guys can tell.
Yeah. And how are the messages? Are we seeing just an acceleration of the potholes from messages, or?
Yeah, you
More
guys
and
are
more
actually
and more?
like, I was gonna say, especially because you're in the position of being in sort of as the pilot right now. Yeah. In fact, like you're like in the thick of it right now. You don't have to like you're not in danger really anymore of like hitting any of them, like as you can see which their paths after scanning them enough. But yeah, this is a bombardment. This is a missionary ship. This is about 5,000 souls. So there's about 5,000, like give or take, just these lines, this burst pattern towards the astrolabe.
I think early on he's just kind of having fun flying between them because he's like, whatever.
Well,
If Hush says it's no big deal, it's no big deal. And then as they get more and more busy, he calls back and he's like, look, can we shut these guys up somehow? And overhears a bunch of the yelling back there, almost certainly.
Question for you, Eric.
yeah.
What happens if these messages reach the astrolabe?
That's probably going through your mind if you weren't too busy dealing with Raikana. Yes.
I feel like
Those are-
Hush
yes.
is analytical enough to be thinking of both.
Okay.
Because
Sure.
I like it's
Yeah.
it's
That's an
it's-
issue.
yeah, cool. I would let's fix Ray first, and then we'll talk to Clark about that because it's a bit of a trek from here to the astrolabe. So I have some time. I think is that true or like
You do have some time. This stuff's not going to get to the that proper astrolabe in quite a while. You guys are far away.
cool.
Very, very far away.
In that
from the
case,
core.
we're gonna fix Ray, but I'm gonna be like, I'm going to calm
Um,
Clark and be like,
Yeah.
yeah, shit's going to go down. We have to talk soon.
Hey, Clark, Hush is busy. What's going on? Do I need to start changing destinations or whatever, or am I just going to be evading for the next couple of days?
Would it be protocol or like best practice to, when it's unknown or dangerous, to stop? Or is it better to, like, are we in danger to continue to go on our trek? Like, I'm just not quite sure of what the
I mean, I'm telling you right now,
Typical.
Clark, I'm not stopping the ship.
I have the perfect answer for you. As everyone who's ever worked in a service industry, if you are sick, you have bills to pay. Your bills don't care that you're sick.
Okay.
But
Got
obviously, everything the corporate manual says that if you're in contact with some sort of vital thing, you need to stop. But at the same time, you have a contract and there's bills to pay, and
You're
you don't
only
want that
allowed
negative
to
rating.
not come in if you're physically vomiting.
Yeah.
So
So there are, you know what I mean? It's one of those
Yeah.
things where everything says you're not supposed to.
So Clark would say to Chuck, he'd just say, coming now. And he would kind of like do his best to do his weird little jog movement up to the front so he can just talk more personally. So when he got there, he would say, we're having technical issues. Hush has somehow corrupted Ray's pan. I'm not quite sure.
Fuck all of you. It's Hush's opinion. Just fuck it.
He's just reporting what Ray said, so he doesn't know.
Hush is underappreciated. No wonder she's so spiteful.
Humans. So yeah, Clark would just sort of like look at Chuck to gauge his like threat level, or like not really fear, but
He's like in flow right now, dealing with the flight. and he says, "Look, this is the fastest route to where we're going. But if we're not going where we're going, I can not have to deal with this stuff. Or if we don't care about going the fastest way, I can also not have to deal with this stuff."
Maintain destination. Approval to take a safer course.
Okay, so he'll pull out and find a nice route and complain under his breath.
Okay. Then you're gonna need to do a piloting check of basically doing the calculations again of changing your course.
Sorry, Alice. I
No,
was
you
just
go. You go.
cue you up to you actually was
Yeah.
to check because it doesn't Hush usually do the like astronav stuff. I don't know how it works.
Hush is,
But they're busy.
Hush is better at astronav, but I've got some of it from picking it up.
I mostly just wanted to say that, like, if like Hush would mention that this like would send it in a like essentially tell Quinn to send a message to you rather than her do it herself because she's busy, being like, yeah, this shit would be bad if we just left it alone now. Like the messages.
You have the little you have the little green apple in your digital Slack.
Yeah. So I'm just like we might not be able to like if this stuff reaches the astrolabe, it could be bad sort of message. And so like Plark can make whatever decision off that they want. I just want to make sure that Plark does have that information.
Okay. So then I think then on this cliffhanger, we're going to go to our quick little break because we've been playing for a little bit here. And we have about 1 more hour to go. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 5 minutes or so. So we're just going to get some water and deal with our own viruses. All right? So don't go anywhere. This has been Free Spacer. And once again, you can totally pick up Free Spacer. It's on Kickstarter right now. I'm going to put it in the exclamation point. Free Spacer. So we all can see it. Huzzah. Awesome. So see you guys on the other side of the break. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second part here of Free Spacer. We are currently in a situation. I think it's the easy way of putting it. There's been some sort of mimic virus of robotic or just electrical in nature detected on our sensor analysts' personal machine as they were backing up some information, and now we're trying to fix it. And
I fixed one thing. Now I gotta fix Ray. Ray, you're about to get fixed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm never gonna get those photos
all right,
back.
so let's talk about what this looks like, right? So you're going to try to isolate anything that's basically infected.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
pretty
said like my personal stuff was being affected too. Does this include like my suit?
Yeah,
that
your
I
suit
need
is.
to
Yeah.
breathe.
Mm-hmm. It hasn't so far. It hasn't affected your breathing, but yes, your suit is
Okay.
absolutely compromised.
Which
right now.
is yeah.
So far.
Essentially, we're going to do the same thing I did to your pan, but with your suit. We're going to try and purge it of all external
Do I need
software.
to take it off? I mean,
No, don't
I'm
take.
an undersuit.
Yeah.
Should I?
So there's a couple of things though about your personal suit that are kind of important, especially Raikana's suit. And do you want to like tell us a little bit, Raikana, about being a nautilopod?
About my people?
and
Yeah,
your
I
people,
never actually described.
and what this means. Yeah, could you? Because I think this is important for the.
An Octonaut, or no, that's a children's TV show. My species, they're sort of like kind of flat-faced, but they used to live, and by they, I mean me personally, used to live when I was growing up under the ocean, deep sea. I have a big shining shell with stripes across it that kind of like goes into my back suit. And I have all of my tendrils in 4 limbs, just so I look more normal. And I've gotten upgrades so I can survive on land. Unfortunately, I can't survive very long. I need to be in water, or at least in an oxygen-rich, at least slightly damp environment to be able to breathe for long. I can go without my suit, but it's like an octopus crawling over a sandbank. It's, I gotta stay damp.
Right.
And yeah. Great.
So do I have to take Ray out of the suit, or can I do it with the suit on?
You would have to power down the suit at some point, like doing restarts and stuff like that. So
Sure.
you
My
could
question
take
is,
it
how
off,
long
or yeah.
How long would the suit be off if it goes well?
Depends on how good you are at taking care of isolating this virus.
This is a bad idea.
No. All right. So my plan.
There's no way of knowing an estimate of that.
Clark, can you lift Ray? Is that a thing you can do?
Basically, right now you don't have an analysis enough of the scope of the damage to give it a
Sure
of the infection.
I know what I can do. It's uncomfortable, but I can sort of tuck myself away while you work on it, but not for too long.
Would Ray's room is one that they can stay in safely, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So if Clark is on comm with this, he's actually up at the helm with Chuck at this point. So he would just sort of like pat Chuck on the shoulder and say, "Hold one moment, do your thing safely," and would boing, boing, boing down the hallway again. But while he's walking over comm, he would try to calmly but forcefully instruct Ray something to the effect of, "Go to your quarters, engage biomechanics," or whatever like the correct term is for their life support.
Basically, get naked in a pool of water.
Yeah.
And then like put it in the wall, the door closes, and it drains.
Exactly.
And
Do a little
thing comes out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that. I rush off, and I'm like undoing stuff as I go, and like there's like I'd leave a belt somewhere in the hallway.
Could you roll me a d6?
Sure. I'm sure there's no reason that this will go wrong.
It's easier to adjudicate if a player rolls instead of me.
1.
Okay.
Huh?
Cool.
Thanks.
You're good. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna collect the suit and I'm gonna do my thing.
Sure.
Still a code?
Yeah, probably.
Cool.
So are you going to be using the ship systems here to help you, like you're on your workbench and stuff, or are you
I was
doing this with your
going to use my
multi-tool, or
I was going to use my what does a utility manipulator do exactly for multi-tool? Just so I know. I don't remember.
can you repeat the question?
What does a utility manipulator? What does a utility manipulator on a multi-tool do?
It's kind of like the catch-all for a lot of things. What are you trying to do? I think
so
rather than list off the cajillion things it can do, can you give me the use case that you're trying to solve, and I can give you yes or no?
Yeah. So I was going to take the suit and use my multi-tool to like essentially. I imagine there's lots of ports on it that you'd plug it in to load it with like software for like different biomes and stuff. Because imagine this suit isn't like specifically made for raised species. It was like like software was integrated into it to allow it to like know what to do under certain situations and stuff. I would like to use my multi-tool to interface with it and like wipe it essentially.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's basically like a microscopic wrench, or like yeah.
I'd essentially just like to use it to like take it apart into pieces and start like resetting it individually rather than all of it.
Sure. Okay.
Because I think it would just be like simpler to isolate parts.
Right. So in other words, if this was an OB4 test, you could probably like you break it up into 2 consecutive OB2s, as in like you've broken apart the pieces and you're fixing them individually.
Sure.
Like so basically a test to make smaller tests than one hard one.
Sure.
Is that kind of what you're imagining?
Yeah, that works.
Or would you rather? Okay. Yeah. All right.
Would that
sure.
Is that including my utility manipulator dice?
No, because this would be a 3 threat to do this right without any risk of harm to any other system.
The suit.
The suit as you're basically figuring out the seams and stuff like that.
So I'm taking it apart and then I'm taking it apart and then I'm going to wipe it, right? Like those are 2 separate rolls.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So that would be a mechanics roll, right?
Yeah, correct? Definitely. Yeah, because you're
cool.
You're or even like materials as you're.
I will stick to mechanics, if that works.
I think so. Because you're using the ship stuff to do this too, so like I'm cool with it.
Mechanics and using my utility manipulator dice for this roll, which is a fuck ton of dice. Threat 3, you said.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 successes.
Okay, that is a success. Remember, 1 or 2, 0 or 1's a partial, or fail or a partial, so you made it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So nothing's damaged with the ship. You're confident you're able to isolate the 2 different bits of so far on the actual suit that are infected.
Cool. Now I would like to do the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
The actual,
Right. So. Here's what you know. I was gonna say so far. I'm not sure what has power and stuff to Raikana's suit, right? But obviously, like their scanner is kind of like hurt, and their parts of their link are infected, right? Like those are like the 2 parts that are.
Link's the more important part, so we're doing that one first.
Yeah. Yeah. You were able to get this before it got into the reactor.
Cool.
Sure. Which is great.
So
you're not sure what would happen, but you're pretty sure you're glad.
Bad things.
Yeah.
Code roll for the link first.
Yeah.
I will. What's it called? I will spend another one of these charges because I keep generating a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. So this is
we'll go down to
2.
3.
Right, because you're able to split it in half and isolate it. So rather than doing 1-4 test.
-1.
Oh.
Complications.
That was the yeah, okay. You were boosting your multi-tool, right?
No, not there. I
no boost for this
I charged. Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot to, honestly. I just forgot.
Okay. Okay, I got it. So Chuck.
No, I don't want to talk to you, Eric.
Chuck, you know how you're trying to reposition the ship, getting ready to astronavigate?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, your ship's steering is a little,
It's not currently hooked up into the ship, is it?
just
I
saying.
didn't like. I was just saying, like, I didn't
know.
hook it up into the ship.
This is the newfound complication.
Okay.
from
I just
this
wanna,
fail.
Yeah.
So what happens is you're able to isolate it, but the problem is that the problem is worse than you thought. You were able to isolate it from this part of the ship, but at some point during the tests and contacts, it would require a lot of post-mortem of figuring out where it got injected to. But yeah, no, it's actually it has begun to take root in your ship, and it is.
I
currently
guess
affecting
I'm just
your
confused as
ship's
to when that would have
maneuvers.
happened.
I was
That's
throwing
all.
a lot of whales around. I mean,
right.
There were,
Yeah, it could have been any
I
time
mean,
in the past
right,
hour.
like so, right. As in the past hour, it could have been several times.
Sure.
But so do you, Ray tried to do it themselves. They spoke to Plark, and they came to you. So there are a lot of vectors where
Sure.
this
Clark-
but
Clark
right
just
now
came up to the cockpit too. So.
right. Yeah, but right now the problem is that your ship gets kind of locked as you're trying to maneuver it here, as one of your thrusters is basically not responding.
I can do without a thruster. Who needs a thruster?
Uh,
I don't
Just so
need a
I-
roll from you yet. I need Alice. So you're able. So you have it half solved right now.
okay. I just want to know if it actually did go out of the scanner or not the link rather. If it went out of the link,
Yeah.
that's okay.
You feel confident
So-
you got it out of the link.
So we will do that. The link is done. We will do the second thing, and then we'll fuck with the ship because this keeps getting worse. Same thing. Still not going. Like I'll still spend another charge because I have a bunch. I'll do. I wouldn't. And I won't use my multi-tool or anything just in case that gets infected. We just don't want to fuck with that. I have a lot of dice. Like that was a real
Okay.
bad roll.
So
we're
you
just
don't want to
gonna-
spend some capacity to activate like your manipulator for the 2 extra dice or whatever. Or 3?
No, I'm
Okay.
just gonna charge.
Oh, okay.
I don't want. I feel like if I do that, then my systems also become
They're
at
exposed.
risk.
Yeah, they're
and then
exposed to risk, for sure.
and then it just becomes
Right,
a
that's the
cycle
point.
of
Sure. Yeah, if you're using something, yeah, it could be damaged. Totally.
2.
Okay. That is enough. You're lucky.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you're able to fix Raikana's suit. You're isolating it out. Yeah. This is so. As you're doing this, you're able to uncover a little bit more about the at least the habits of whatever this is. Right. You're not
Sure.
sure what exactly it is. But it seems to go after networks. It is explicitly wants connections to things. It goes after the synapses between things, and it's interested in the connections less than the actual modules. So
Cool.
that's like as you're cutting this thing out.
I'm literally just going to be like, so with the -1, do I know that the ship is infected now, or is that just a thing I am not aware of yet?
No, that's not you're aware of yet. That's
Cool.
external.
Although-
to you. The
although
camera
Chuck
pans
is-
out to the Jin Chimera.
Chuck is totally on the comms, like, hey, hey, hey,
I
hey.
just fixed Ray's shit. What?
You're not messing with piloting, right?
Not currently.
Well, somebody's messing with piloting.
Fucking snake cursing. Just snake cursing. So okay.
So this is not okay. Okay, cool. Then yeah, I'll just figure this out then. And when you're ready.
I'm just gonna message Ray and be like, "Your suit's fine. It's in my quarters. I'm not bringing it to you. I'm busy. Come get it when you want it." And then I'm gonna fucking
What's Plark doing at this moment?
So
yeah.
Clark would have been out during this time while Ray was. I don't know how Ray emotionally was at that time. They seemed
I'm fine now. I'm floating around
Fine.
my room,
okay.
kind of waiting.
So as soon as that like personnel issue was resolved, Clark would have basically been waiting in like the equivalent of his ready room. I don't know if because we didn't buy a bridge for this ship, right? So we don't have like a an all-encompassing command center. So maybe just like whatever his office or chambers is like. But anyway, he would be trying to monitor as much of the ship and the personnel as possible within the functionality that he has at his disposal. So I would say that he would likely notice if steering became weird or if systems were starting to turn off and do strange things, because he's just entirely focused on that.
I mean, you totally notice that Chuck's vitals are all going weird.
Great. So then in that case, Plark would be like, status report. To Chuck.
He just doesn't respond for a really long time. And he's like, and that's basically all you get out of him.
Good thing I have 6 dice and insight, because I definitely know that sequence in Timber of Uz for sure.
I mean, that the only thing that bothers Chuck is not being able to control the ship. So,
Eric? What is the protocol, or what have we done in the past, or what can I even do as my options as like an emergency shutdown or like all hands on deck without affecting, like, obviously we know life support is biotech, so it's not like mechanical, but what could we do to turn off everything except for what Hush needs to stop it?
I mean, that's kind of like just like what like Red Alert or like battle systems do, right? Like there's just sort of safe mode of you hear the lights turn off, emergency lights turn on.
Sure.
It cuts off all critical power. There's no like you don't have to hack this. The ship is kind of made to do this with the right authorization code, which you obviously have as the manager, as the captain. I said, it's the manager instead of the captain.
No, Clark is totally the manager. Yeah,
totally the manager. Okay. So he would just hit that sequence, which is some weird, Morse code like number of sounds or something, and and would flip that. I don't know that there would be much of a visual change, but he would definitely want it to be obvious to everybody that that's firing.
There's probably a smell on the ship that's associated with it, right?
Clark doesn't know the difference between smell, sound, and sight. He explains it as basically they're all like how humans interpret taste of different flavors between like salty and sweet. So they're all like the same sensation, but different flavors of that sensation to him.
It smells like a garlic Alfredo. The lights go a bit yellow, and then there's thrumming.
So sometimes he even will say like, that smells yellow, just on accident.
So here's two things, and one of them is going to be a question for you. This happens. You're able to commit this but as soon as you do, you also notice something about your own connection, either through your own goggles or through just your interface in general. Something gives away that the reason for the ship acting funny came from you and your efforts with Raykana's transferring the ship, and then you going back to looking at these files. What is the telltale sign that gave it away on your end? And do you let other people know that the vector was your compad? So just to clarify, Clark realizes this in character that he was the source of it. Right. Because as you realize as you're entering the codes that the system's kind of hanging up for you in the same way that transmitting information was hanging up for Raykana, and you have the sensation that you were inadvertently affected. You are the vector to the ship. That now it's like pieces are falling into place as Chuck's thing, and realizing that I think I might have did this.
Yeah, he wouldn't be secretive about it. As far as what he notices specifically that makes it weird is it would probably start changing the configurations. If he was very familiar, because he constantly stares at all the analytics of the ship, if he started to notice that the configurations were weird, my charts went from pie charts to bar charts or whatever, those are the kinds of things that are wait a second, I wouldn't choose this type of chart.
Then I know. Can I build on that?
Yes, please.
It's not just the charts, it's the dates. Your dates are all different now. Your dates are in a different format that I don't think you would know. Okay. They're set up in obviously they're a readable date format, but it's day, year, month, second,
Right.
hour. Like you're like,
It's like
Why would
American
you-
time.
yeah, right. It's America time. It makes no
Dang,
sense.
America.
Right. There's
It's always
definitely
America time.
right. The it has changed your date format.
Okay, yeah. So whatever
For starters.
is, I would imagine, and maybe this is too much of a stretch, but I would imagine that there is a manual or mechanical, non-digital version on the ship that would basically be like a factory reset, as if like temporarily shut all computer systems down that are not life support.
Right.
So if there was that, I would imagine it would be in a safe with like an actual manual combination that Plark would know in his room, and he would do that right now.
Sure. Oh well, yeah. I want to ask you about that stuff because like I think of like the Expanse and like if you want to like trigger something like that in the Expanse, you need like the XO and the captain to both like do like thumb bioprint
Right.
confirm. Is it just for a smaller ship like this, just physical lock? Captain needs to confirm.
Well, it would be this, like, is it the CEG? What's our corporation patron's name?
CG. Yeah, you got it right.
CEG, yeah.
CEB.
CEB, sorry, thank you. The CEB, whatever I feel like because they're more corporate and less military, they probably would trust it more in a single person, I feel, as opposed to have it like military is more like, this person's going crazy. We need to have two people make sure that they don't, mess up the ship. Whereas corporate's like, well, we know because we own your bank account. So it's a little bit more like blackmail-y, if that makes sense.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Do you guys, so out of character, just like game rules or universe, are you okay with that being a single person? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is a question for the ship. It's just a fiction of it.
I was more questioning whether or not like is Plark telling people what's happening yet?
No, so he's going basically. I don't know, and this is what I wanted to ask of how that mechanically looks, because if it's more than 3 seconds, then absolutely he gives the code word warning. It's like Apache banana or whatever, like that everybody just hears. It's like, this is nuclear, terrible. Prepare, like hold on to something because the ship is going to turn off.
We're putting the ship in safe mode.
Right. I think it will. I think it does take
Okay.
a little bit more than 3 seconds to do it. It shouldn't take too long because, like, in case of an emergency, you need to be able to do this really quick. But like letting people know, like, you need to go break the glass in case of emergency and get the fire. Like, yeah.
As soon as you tell everyone, I'm taking Quinn out of the ship briefly, just completely ripping her out, physically.
What is Quinn physically stored in?
I imagine almost it's just a bunch of I can just
is it like a blade server rack?
yeah, server
Like
exactly.
all the crystal chips of the future, like you unscrew a circle and you pull it out and it's all glowy. and
I mean, I
lights.
picture it
Right.
more like circuit boards because it's soul stuff rather than if
Oh,
we were
hell yeah.
doing
Right,
if we were
yeah.
doing aliens, then if we
Yeah,
were doing
that's-
Yeah.
it's circuit board a
Alien
server
stuff is
rack.
crystals, ours are chips.
Yeah. So I'm taking Quinn out server her entire. I'm just hang on to something, Hunt, and just
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm hitting it.
Yeah.
Cool.
My room just goes down to this.
Yep.
There's a few inches where there's a lip where I can step out in case of emergencies. I'm always damp. But yeah.
Yeah. Does that mean so life support can't get turned off? Right, because it is biological.
It's biotech, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
I
here's the-
guess that would work for Ray's room too, right?
Yeah. My room goes down to this much water. And I'm just lying on the floor.
well,
Yeah.
your suit's fine now. You can come get your fucking. You can come.
Yeah,
get
I
your
know
suit.
that, but this all happened
But
very
not
fast.
That's fair.
yeah. I mean, obviously, comms. Okay, so here's things that are you can expect that could still work. Right, doors are no longer automatic; they're manual. Right, you have to open the doors, but they're not you need a crowbar.
Yeah.
Right, unless there's physical hatch seal kind of stuff but that's not engaged. Right. But your comms between all of you is obviously still up. Ship navigation, all bare minimum is up.
Yeah,
Right.
I lost power steering, man.
No cruise control.
No, the idea is that anything you would require for evasive maneuvers would probably still be on, right? The idea is that this is emergency mode. You need this for escaping something, or dealing with a catastrophic event, right? So
Yeah, and it would even be, I think, like the power would even divert more to the engine. So like it would be
Exactly.
probably a lot less like AI guidance and more reliant on the manual piloting skill of the person.
Exactly. It assumes yeah. You're like, I mean, we don't really have a lot of weapon systems to deal with that in terms of power, but like how you're distributing power is a thing. Like yeah, your workshop would be offline for sure. The question here is, Rikana, like with your water, by default does your room hold water, or would it begin to like?
When there's an emergency situation,
Does it flush
it lowers it,
or does it fill it?
Because the pressure difference, like there's like if here's the floor of my room, there's a lip that goes out into the hallway, and there's always water in it. I just like to keep, and then like I step out, get my feet off, and then run out. So if ever the ship goes down and my suit goes down, there's always a reserve of water, and I think there are like tubes that I've set up.
Right. Okay, so there's always like a thin little amount, but yeah, the rest of the water begins to go down, like go.
When Ray
into
joined
the filtration systems.
When Ray joined the ship, we had a whole conversation, and they had me install
accessibility options.
Yeah, essentially.
It's not like pneumatic tubes through the ship, although that would be cool. Let's think about it. But yeah, there are damp zones.
It's totally come up.
Yeah, I keep pushing for it every quarterly meeting. No one ever agrees.
Oh yeah, do we have grav then?
Yeah, how does artificial gravity work in this universe?
Magnets.
Yeah, it's assumed magnets. I don't think we have to worry too much about centrifugal force, like something's rotating around to keep gravity here.
So gravity would be functional still then?
That's a good question. Is it still functional? Is that something that gets turned off in an emergency?
Well, if it's
like mag boots and you just go.
I would think not, because especially if it's not like centripetal force or whatever, then realistically it would be just constant, right? It's not like from a source of power. It would just be like a exotic material or something.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then, and if you fold space, then yeah, it's probably regular gravity. Okay.
And as soon as I realize that the water isn't going to go back up, I go to my suit.
So clearly not just the red alert, but the Apache banana alert is going for everybody. So Clark would want to meet somehow or be in a safe area. And I think he would probably go and run as fast as he could to wherever Hush's workstation is, because I think
back to the ship.
Yeah, I think he would think she's the only chance to like fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, Hush just like pulls Quinn out of the thing, puts her in a safe corner, and then is just gonna take a deep breath and be like, "What's like the red klaxons go on and stuff?" It's just like a second to decompress before she opens her eyes, and you're there. It's like, yeah, yeah.
Apologies for the abruptness.
Not your fault. Long day.
Does it steer again, Eric?
Hold on. Did you guys all meet in the?
Are
you all?
I'm running back to Hush's room.
Yeah,
Hush's work area.
Does this go through the lobby, or excuse me, goes through the meeting hall?
The lounge.
The lounge.
I mean, I imagine you don't really have I imagine the lounge is off in its own owner's corner. Like you don't want to be having to go through a lounge to get to the engine room, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's something human resources intended. Like, it has to be its own separate thing, so you're not pressured by the ship.
Okay.
Totally.
Right.
Work-life balance.
Yeah, because I was never sure if whether or not the lounge is something like that's the central unit, that's the hub where everyone goes to and then goes off, or if it's broken off somewhere else. Okay.
I imagine the ship is sectioned off more into hallways, so there's no center.
Right. So then, for the sake of the fiction, the way to get to from Plark down there, Plark, you notice that there is still several lights turning on and off in the lounge that shouldn't be.
So he would overcome, tell Ray, assist Hush promptly. And this is like the most like direct version of
Things
him.
are very serious.
That is Gandalf telling Shadowfax the meaning of the word haste.
Clark is
Promptly.
like yelling, but that's as close as he gets.
Right.
Yeah.
The
Totally.
use of the word promptly is very, very heavy.
Very important. And then he would calm to Chuck and say, get us to a safe orbit or destination, neutral zone, I guess is what he's looking for, like dead space with nothing around.
Right.
Yeah, he has this way of making a sound that just like eliminates all other sound from the comms.
Promptly.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got a bus.
Okay.
So
The
then
ship
he would
does-
oh, sorry, go ahead.
The ship does steer again, right, Eric?
I mean, it's going to require a piloting check here, essentially. To the ship is groaning as it's trying to use this engine. There's a heavy resistance against it.
Do you want me to try and get the engines back on and like function and like optimal first, or would you like to pilot first?
I mean, every so often, Chuck will flip on the comms, hear you still cursing, and then he'll
No,
flip
I mean
them
like
on.
I'm not doing anything anymore. That's what I'm saying.
Well, then the last
this-
time that he
right.
flipped it and you weren't yelling, he was definitely like, so ship moving.
You're getting right now, like on your readouts and stuff, your engine is saying like, "Cool, full throttle, powered off." Cool, full throttle, power off. Cool.
Yeah.
It's something is keep telling it to like disconnect. Stop.
Yeah,
Stop, stop.
fixing engine first, and then we can do piloting. As I think,
Totally.
like I'd rather not have the engine explode.
Yeah. Chuck feels confident in his skills, but he also knows that it's kind of only works because your ship works. So
Yeah.
When we were in fold space or whatever it's called, do we exit that when we hit this, or do we continue? Like, is there a fold 0th dimension inertia? What does that look like?
As far as I can tell, we haven't exited folded space yet. Like we're still like you guys were in the middle of your jump, folding space, and that's when you hit these bumps, and this has been going on kind of in that moment. You could try to disconnect from folded space.
So I just to clarify, Clark told Chuck to get to the safest stable zone that he could with his current level of maneuverability and power. Whatever that means in universe, Clark would know better than Ben would know. So he would say that equivalent.
Yeah.
That's at this point that's Chuck's discretion because exiting folded space before you're supposed to when you put in the calculations is always risky, right? And then getting back into it's always kind of a like okay, you got to do the calculations.
100% trust. So I mean that's
exactly. It's Chuck's discretion is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, Chuck's not going to take you out of fold space because it's just way too dangerous.
Right.
And so the big thing with him is, okay, if Hush can't do this in like a snap of a finger, then they'll let me know and I can do crazy things if I have to do crazy things. But the last time I did crazy things, we lost 200 people on a ship full of 1,000, but that's unacceptable losses to him.
So I'm going to try and get the engines to stop being dicks.
Sure.
As you're doing that, your door opens up and Ray's standing there like, where's my suit? Where's
Point
okay?
like
and
it's
yeah, like a little car beeper goes off and they dive into it.
You need help getting the suit on only because it's been disassembled.
Yeah, like, well, you can. How long can you last outside your suit?
It's fine. I'm fine. Keep on.
Cool. Yeah, ignoring you for a second. We'll do it after. Sorry.
Ray would never tell you anyways.
I mean, if Ray says they're okay until I'm done.
All right. Yeah. You would have enough time to get help to do this if you would not help with the engine. Right now, you have to make a choice of whether to get Ray's suit here ready to go or get the engine on.
Oh, I'm getting the engine on.
Okay.
It's not a choice for Hush.
Sure. Sounds good to me.
I'm sorry. It's not.
Nothing personal, kid.
Well, if the ship dies, we all die, is how she sees it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. And I mean, Apache Banana's been called. So
Apache Banana's been called.
decisions have to be made.
Mechanics. Seems like the choice.
Oh
here.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely mechanics. This is you working with the console that is on, basically. Like you're like on like the engineering like kind of mainframe where you pulled out your friend, right? Like you're like working on like the little console right in front of that thing. Because there's your actual terminal, your own terminal is off as like your workspace terminal is off.
Does my multi-tool still function?
Yeah, anything in your personal effects will still work.
We're gonna use multi-tool.
Yeah, and they operate in their own power.
Yeah, we're gonna use that. Which using that costs what exactly again?
Oh man, sorry, I just realized Spike was talking about how imagining the goo protecting Ray is like hackfish slime, and that's like extremely disgustingly accurate. Sorry, continue.
No. So what does that cost again to use my multi-tool?
It requires a charge from your reactor.
Okay.
Right, you like to spend.
We are down to 1 charge.
You'll be fine.
You're fine.
So that's 3 dice.
Just roll another 5 successes.
What's the threat? What's the threat?
Threat's 3.
10.
Oh,
Somehow.
Hey.
I mean, it's the pressure. The pressure's off.
Right.
I didn't know that's possible.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Didn't you? Is there exploding in this? Because I only see 9d10.
I have no idea.
Tens give you.
You rolled.
2
Wait,
successes.
hold on a second. It says 91s.
No. It did it correctly. Everything that's 5 and up is a success. A 10 is a second success.
That's
and none of the threats gave you a negative. And you rolled successes on all the dice and double successes on 2 of the dice.
That's why I'm looking at is greater than 9d1.
However it works, that is an accurate representation.
All right, yeah, no, we were trusting. I'm just not sure why it has a 91 in it. That's all. Okay.
I don't even see it.
Don't look at
hover over the 9. Hover over the 9. The second 9, the blue 9.
No, don't look too hard.
Oh yeah, we can't. Okay, it's holy. It's sacrosanct. We can't see behind the veil.
No, we're not the old gold, Eric.
But
the physical
Eric, we're not old gold.
All right, yeah. Okay.
The abyss.
Krzysztof reminds us here in chat that apparently it's something about the macro, which is fine. It's working right. It's just that's required for the math. So that is definitely.
That's an accurate roll. Cool.
Yeah.
What's a quadruple success?
Give yourself 2 reactor things.
Yeah.
Although honestly, you should like totally refill your reactor, but it's not my game, so.
Right. I mean, I feel like that's not as written, but it totally fictionally seems right because you just completely blew this test out of the water. So what does that look like? So what does like greater than succeeding greater than your wildest dreams look like in this scenario to you?
So it's 100% like this ship is called the Chimera for one reason. It is a hodgepodge of other ships that pretty much Hush has built herself together. And had to take out a bunch of loans and stuff to do it, but she did it and it's our ship. So it's one, the intimate knowledge of every single part in this ship, and 2, she holds this thing together through sheer spite and force of will.
Oh, totally.
So it's literally just, I don't care how broken this is. I don't care that this isn't functioning. It's going to do this because I say it will.
And you'd be damned if some virus is going to take this from you. You're just like slamming your fingers in this terminal. Full of spite.
Also, I love it plays into the I have a job to do, and one of your crewmates is like, I can't breathe great, but it's fun.
You're doing great.
It's also 100% not even just the terminal. The terminal's part of it, and it's literally just cool. I'm going to fix the ship while it's still on, the actual engine parts. It's okay, I have about 0.5 seconds to take this part out and replace it. Yeah,
perfect. Oh yeah. So, I mean,
you want me to roll that pilot?
No, like I don't feel like you. I feel like Alice's amazing roll skills here. I think Hush has solved the problem for you. I feel like you have your what was going to be a difficult piloting check, because your engine is offline and you have to do this manually. It has been completely solved. So you have both engines and you're able to do it like at the the last second or so, dodging some of these shooting lines of quantum energy. Right.
Chuck is like, oh, cool, you solved the problem. Thanks.
Fucking, you're snake cursing the entire time, by the way. Just the entire time.
That's just
Sorry,
kind
Chuck.
of normal state, right?
Yeah, 10 successes is 10 successes. So, as much as we want to see your dope piloting. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the engine's on. But I think the camera goes back down to Plark, who was walking around and seeing those weird lights.
He's totally not nervous, by the way. His trust is like reaffirmed and everything. So he's like, cool. Yeah, so he would be going to check out the lights from, he's guessing the comm or the projector board or the game console or something.
It's the game console.
Gosh dang it.
Still on. It should not be on in Alpha Patchy Banana scenario. That is the game console absolutely should not be on.
Someone may have messed with that to make sure it stayed out in emergency circumstances.
In fact,
you can say who.
In fact, the entire console, the entire console seems to have a predominantly like silvery, like mithril veins in it.
Does it seem like it could be a communicative creature or like a sentient program? I know that's like an impossible thing in the universe, but is it seem like it could be some sort of consciousness?
Not as far as you. What would give you
some kind of pattern or
it's
something
not,
that seems?
Is it like it's not pulsing or beating? It's
okay.
It's just erratic, glowing.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of a Star Trek scenario, like that one episode in TNG when they were deleting all the files and it was actually like a little virus people trying to survive.
It's the nanite, like the
the nanites yes,
that
thank you.
Wesley made.
Yes. This is silly, but can I insight the sparkly bits? Self-ontology insight. I mean,
please say yes. Please say yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can try, but what is it? So I want to engage the mechanics to this thing is fine, but my answer is always, how do you do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like on camera?
Well, the way that Plark perceives things is also different, right? So there could be, like I would say, other Sophons would think, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, sorry, but would think that Glathorn have almost like a sixth sense in a way. So it's almost like perceived as a sort of psionic or psychic power when really it's just a different form of sensory perception. So to Clark, he might just be really like concentrating on trying to engage all 5 of his sensory organs at once to see if he can detect some kind of intelligence there or some kind of pattern or some kind of purpose.
Right.
Is it trying to communicate?
Mm-hmm.
So he would maybe just like really intensely stare at this point in space for a while.
Yeah. It's so as far as you can tell, there's nothing that's giving it an intelligence, but it definitely seems like there is some sort of order or some sort of process to what it's doing.
So more mechanical and less organic.
Like it's following, it's behaving, it's showing a sense of intelligence by way of it's clearly operating with a goal in mind and not necessarily just completely random. And you can see that because the screen, like it's trying to like use the screen of the game system, like it's like flashing. That's mostly the lights turning on. It's like different color lights are flashing. I guess you're probably like trying to read into the lights and the order of the glow and stuff like that of what it's trying to do here with this roll.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Yeah.
So should I roll insight then?
Oh yeah, and this will probably be pretty difficult because you're trying to derive insight from something that's very, very, very difficult to understand. So let's say at least a 5.
Okay.
Want to use any power or anything?
Nope. 0.
Okay.
Can all have Hush's great success.
No.
Yeah, Hush's success should give you an advantage today.
Yeah.
Sorry, friends, I'm too good at role-playing games.
Yeah. No.
I like to roll nothing but failures, so it's okay. It's on point.
Yeah. No, I think the game screen continues the cycle, and the more you're trying to like read it, and do you like communicate with it while you're reading it? Like, are you trying to say like hello, or like are you trying to? What are you doing? How are you interfacing with the scenario right now?
Yeah, I thought about maybe communicating with it, but I think Plark would be too cautious. Like one of his personality traits is to be very furtive and cautious. So I feel like he would feel if he doesn't know how to communicate, then a communication could be perceived as a threat of some kind. So he would rather just be neutral. So maybe that neutrality or whatever is what gets him in trouble. Like he would wait too long and something bad could happen from that.
Mm-hmm. Totally. The game machine starts shaking as you're sitting here trying to read it. Like it begins to like someone's like tilting a pinball machine, right? It has that sort of like like
is it connected
forceful-
to the ground?
Yes, it's bolted to the ground, but it's shaking.
Is there a local power panel or like a conduit or anything that would run like a wire or in the floor or something that would run from the ship to this room?
Yeah, but that's going through one of the legs that's bolted, right? So you don't have
Well,
like,
I do have 6 dice in tractor skills with my little lightsaber tool, so I'm thinking of just cutting this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, he's going for
break
it.
the machine.
You're gonna break the MAME cabinet?
I was about to say, if you don't do it,
Your high
like,
scores.
If someone tells Hush something else is broken, she's gonna rip whatever it is out of the wall.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the only reason that Clark is because he used the word promptly earlier. So, he's very, very motivated right now. So I'm going to, if I can, Christoph's probably cringing right now, but if I can, I'm going to tractor this thing up away from the power conduit in order to break it from whatever its source of power could be.
Yeah. No, yeah. Tractoring it to cut off its power source seems like a pretty smart move at this moment.
Yes. So
difficult though, but definitely possible.
Alternative, just shoot it a bunch. Just fucking.
I don't even have a gun.
Your multi-tool is technically a gun.
That's true.
Set it to pulse array. You could shoot it. Yeah.
That's true. Well, I have Tractor Lifter 3 mod on my multi-tool, and I have Tractor Mechanics.
You're just gonna lift the game machine up.
6 dice. So it sounds like I can roll 9 dice.
That's not about
it's what I did on the mechanics roll.
That sounds right.
Flip that table.
Yeah, difficulty 4. Add 4 threat dice if you.
Okay,
would for me.
one tractor.
Survey says
only 2, but that's enough.
that is enough. You succeed at ripping it off the ground. The machine gives way to a silvery cube. And you see sort of what the machinations were doing. They were kind of converting whatever the machine, like the internal parts of the machine. So like the skin of like the machine kind of just pulls off, and on the ground here, it's not connected to any power. It's just a kind of like a silvery cube, like perfectly.
It's on the ground.
Cubical.
It's
Yeah, because it's where the machine was bolted, right? So like you like tractor up the machine, you get a lot of resistance from it as it's shaking off, and but then it gives way, and as you lift it off, it's like its guts of the machine have transformed into this silvery cube as you're like tractoring up the rest of the machine. Like the cube has not been lifted, but like the skin or like the remnants of this thing that was incubating, the casing of the game machine is now lifted off of it.
So Plark would very quietly send a text equivalent, if he can, like mentally, while still holding that position. Basically, he's just like statuesque, holding that same exact position, and try to send a warning to Chuck or a request to Chuck to come and help. So he's like help in the lounge equivalent.
there are small indentations all over this cube from your perspective. This cube is probably like it's like a fairly big size, like if you got an Amazon package, you know, it's like 2.5 cube feet. Like it's small, but it seems there. But you can see from where you're at, or I guess I don't know. How do you measure depth of like a surface? Like a
You
rigidity of a
can. So
surface?
it's just like the way I imagine is just like a computer's LiDAR would, where
Sure,
the
yeah.
lights are still
Yeah.
bouncing
Yeah.
back.
Right, echolocation. Yeah. So you see with your all factory devices. I'm not sure. You
Your face things.
You perceive.
My
you
face
perceive
holes.
perceive with the face holes.
An observation is made.
A complex rigidity all over this cube. It looks like houses, or like it looks like it's built like a city. Like it has a sort of planned design around everything. Not necessarily like a motherboard would look like, with like how that kind of looks like a city when you zoom in close enough. No, this looks like more like a city.
Okay, so like
Avenues.
he texts Chuck, help please, lounge.
We're in a good spot, right, Eric? As far as positionally.
Yeah, you guys are still full in space. Your space is folding away just fine.
All right. Then I'll book it back to Clark. What the hell is this thing?
I would be very quiet. I think it is sentient. Does it react to us at all? Or like this violent, you can see me obviously holding up this big arcade machine thing in the air with my tractor beam.
Nope. Yeah, no, you're still holding this shell that it's been working on.
Clark is stumped right now, and you know, Chuck especially, that he's not very good at quick thinking. So he's like, Chuck is fast with his thoughts. That's why I need him right now. So that's why you're here.
And I immediately ping Ray because I'm like, she's the person. They're the person that can communicate with stuff.
Chuck, I think you would be aware of this only because of your animosity towards them.
Sure.
This resembles a little bit like an astrolabe.
Oh, we're gonna get this thing off the ship.
This resembles a little bit like the giant planet, cathedral planet.
Oh, that's the worst.
Only in small.
Only tiny.
Mm-hmm.
We could smash it and pretend like we're having some good old time. No.
Any chance to be Godzilla, I will take it.
Like you look at it and like,
There.
oh yeah, this is totally an astrolabe. Like this is like, it looks like it and minuscule.
Have we been able to capture one of these? Like how secret is the tech for it?
Unknown. This has never been seen before.
Rockin'. I get on the comms with Hush and I'm like, yo, can we just kind of totally isolate something? You can do that in the mech lab, right?
Depends.
It's an astrolabe.
Fuck.
Hush, your day has been so much already.
She's just like,
You can do that, right? You can do anything. I know you can do anything. Come on, yo.
I could.
And there's a clattering behind you as Ray
I'm like,
falls backwards
I'm-
over a crate, like their leg up in the air.
I am going to get Ray back in their suit now that we're not going to die, and then I will come to you.
Wait, Ray's not. If Ray's gonna die, let me go take care of Ray. You deal with this thing.
No, just stay there. Hangs up. Gonna help Ray in the suit. Then gonna walk over there.
Sure.
I keep Clark as far away as I can from this thing.
So yeah, Plark and Chuck are together. It's going to take a little bit as Ray and Hush, Ray gets their suit on, right?
Clark appears to be non-functional right now. He's just holding very still. You think he's a robot right now?
I guess
maybe.
just you do this because all your all of them are up there.
Yeah. The thing isn't threatening. Like it's not like getting angry that the shell's been the tractor beams over and anything like that. It just seems to be just there.
Yeah, but Chuck's
like
got
a statue.
Chuck's got his multi-tool on full-on pulse away weapon.
Oh, I see.
Situation, right?
I'm proud of you.
Sure.
I'm not going to try and interface with this thing. No
How
way.
would you even begin?
It doesn't even come up. right?
None of us are old gold. How would we know?
Well, if you hate something enough, you tend to try to learn about it so you can better beat it.
We saw
So-
them carrying one of these into a shuttle in the war when they were retreating.
So Ray clicks their collar
Yeah.
into place, and they kind of like brittle easier, and there's like this weird gurgling noise that starts from their chest. Okay, what's happening?
Follow.
Okay,
Just
Don't let-
follow me.
Don't let Ray in here, Hush. She's going to want to talk to it. They're going to want to talk to it.
like private messages.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't care at this point. If Ray does something stupid, I will punch Ray and everything will be fine. just that's her reaction to this at point, just like punching things. Oh God, I wish any of these problems could be punched. Why can't I punch them?
When you both show up in the room, then Chuck looks at Ray and it's like, no, it's just a block showed up, and it's like just a block.
Yeah.
It's
Ray
boring.
is slightly too tall, and they realize how tall Clark is, so they like kind of shrink down a little bit and like adjust their suit again.
Dope.
I mean, so question: does it look like that I could pick that thing up?
Yeah, give us a size.
Like
The
Amazon box. Amazon box
Yeah,
size, right?
cool. So I'm wearing like
Like think of an Amazon box that would deliver a like.
A back stretcher where it's too much box
I mean,
for what it is.
I was gonna say desktop tower, right? like a considerably decent sized box.
Hush can lift it.
Well, I mean, it's made out of entirely metal, and you don't know its density or anything like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Hush
My-
can lift anything.
Hush can do anything.
Y'all are so proud. Oh, I mean,
That's
yeah,
what the
like
dice do.
I'm like in a fully like isolated suit. Like I pull up my like helmet thing because I don't want to like touch this thing and it do weird biomechanic stuff.
Mhm.
Because I'm gonna carry it to my lab,
Okay.
and I don't want to interface it with the grav thing because I don't want to fuck with
Right.
my multi-tool.
You
So I
can't
would-
carry it. Like
Can't?
you try to.
Cool.
It is extremely heavy.
In
And
that
Clark-
case,
Clark couldn't get it up either, right? With the full tractor.
I don't think he tried.
Yeah.
No, Clark hasn't tried to target it in any way.
In that case, I'm like, put the casing down over there and try to lift this. If it reacts violently, we will deal with it, but we can't leave it here forever. And if you want me to do anything about it, it has to be in my lab.
Sound like her astrolabe.
You like depending on how catatonic you are, Plark, you may not know this, or maybe you do, and maybe you know it and you're just catatonically unsure, as you're just in that fugue. It has the cube hasn't seemed to really done anything since it's been removed of power.
Okay, cool.
You have tractor off the power, right? Like
So
that's,
Clark, yeah.
it's just
So
sitting
Clark is he's not unaware. He's just static. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. So
Right,
he
right, right.
sets the casing down as gently as he can. I don't know how much finesse these tractor things have. Says just very quickly to Hush, understood, clear a path, and would like redirect if I can carry that roll forward, excellent. If not, that's fine. Then he would just try to move the tractor over to it.
No, it would require a different roll, because as soon as you try to like target this with the tractor reticule, like the cube itself, it begins to give you like there's nothing there to track. What do you want me to pick up?
So rather than tractoring like the
So, like-
object itself, you have to tractor like you have to
Scoop it.
essentially measure it and tractor like its area
You could
rather than the
you
thing
could theoretically
itself.
tractor like the floor and carry it, maybe.
That's what I was going to say. Scoop it like a big spoon. So that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm going to do. Take something inert that's not powered. Like if we have a floor panel that could come away,
Yeah.
and do a spatula scoop deal, and then use that to get us down the hallway.
Sure. Fictionally, does your ship floor disassemble like this?
I
He
was
will break it.
about to say I can just fucking take off a panel in
Sure.
the lounge because really, who needs the lounge anyways? I'm gonna take
Alright,
a panel
yeah,
off the ceiling.
Okay, cool. So like multi-tool, what do you call it? Like de-weld or like loose melt like a square around it to be able to
Laser
like
it,
lift it
yeah.
up, laser it. Yeah.
I don't want to laser it because I want to put it back later, so I just bolt it off.
It unlocks like the
Yeah.
squishy foam things they use in kindergartens and schools. They're big puzzle pieces.
It's probably a server room floor type of thing. And
Yeah, totally.
You actually all are kindergartners, and you're all on the phone.
This is all playtime.
That's
This has
fair.
been playtime the whole time.
No, I'm
Okay.
sure whether it's by brute force or
Yeah.
Right.
intention, Clark is
Yeah.
not too concerned, but he would
Yeah.
Yeah.
figure out a
Right.
way to do it.
Right. I
Yeah.
wasn't saying no. I was just like, this is the fictional truth of the rest of the ship now.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
just want to know what's
it
going
being
on.
human, it being solar, it's a solar ship, and because
Yeah.
Hush has aggregated it through many different ships, I imagine it would have a sort of Lego-like quality to it. So
Yeah.
I imagine it could kind of disassemble fairly easily.
A lot
Yeah.
of pieces can be taken apart if you have the right tool and know-how. It's just if you start fucking with things too bad, things are going to start going wrong real quick. Because there's like, I think problems with like Soul tech, especially when it's something like this, they have a problem with cascading failures. Because it all works just because of the engineers, right? I think Soul's kind of famous for engineers, like this sort of thing.
It's like a rock.
Yeah.
A rock you convinced to work.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, do I need to roll to
Oh,
spatula this
yeah,
thing
you
up?
will. Yes, you will. And bring it over to the tech place in the piece. Sure. Without it messing up anything. Yeah.
Fine, make me do dice things.
Otherwise, this cube's gonna get stuck in the middle of your hallway, and,
that's
and
nice.
your tractor beam's gonna be broken. Like,
that's a pulse projection spatula roll, I think.
yeah, pretty much.
Can I help in any way before this goes off?
I don't think there's like, I don't think
Like
setup.
clear the
there's-
hallway
So
or
Well, here's a fun fact about spatulas. When you're cooking a burger, you should turn the spatula upside down. Because if it's gonna like get that good sear on a pan, you want to turn it upside down. It gets a better leverage. Because if you do it like up, it's gonna get the charred bits might get stuck to the pan. And so you're doing the same thing with this multi-tool. Because you're smart and you have 6 ranks in it or whatever.
You've done
Nice.
much
Sorry.
tractor spatulaing.
Many
Look,
spatulas.
I cook a lot of burgers. I know a thing or two now. Okay.
Eric, I need to come over to eat
Clark-
food at your place sometime.
Clark probably does cook burgers with the tractor version of his multi-tool.
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Except that Clark has a weird obsession with nuts because there are no nuts on Glathor at all. So any planet, especially Earth, that has like shelled seeds of some kind, he likes to eat those, including the shell. So like the whole
Just
peanut.
eat whole
So like
pistachio.
he would make like a patty that's just ground up peanuts and pistachios,
And
including
shell.
the shells. Yeah, that's like his favorite
So
thing.
it's like hairy. It's like,
Yeah,
oh.
totally. He's like, texture.
It's like peanut butter, but crunchy, but
Mhm.
worse.
And
like,
dry.
Just bad.
It's bad.
Burnt. Yeah.
Anyway,
The char and the peanut butter.
exactly. How many threat
Oh.
dice, Eric? Let's bring this home here.
4.
4.
Yeah, you're
Man, this is
you're asking
very,
a lot out of your tractor beam.
very threatening sandwich. Okay,
You know,
Four
charge,
successes.
no charge.
Well, you're
too cautious for that, man.
yeah. You're all
That's
successes.
a
Great.
crit though, so you do get charge.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Your charge back. Yep. Yeah. So you're able, with everyone's help, you're able to get the piece of the floor off of it, and basically kind of carry this over to your workbench. As you're carrying it, it doesn't seem to react. It seems to be completely inert, like a statue or like a miniature model of Astrolabe.
There's no shimmer or flicker or anything.
No,
mean,
it seems to be off. It seems to
Yeah,
be
I'm
inert.
not gonna. Yeah, I'm not plugging it in. Like
Yeah,
that's not
right.
happening.
No, I just even mean as I'm moving it by
Oh, I
other panels or whatever. It doesn't like crackle or anything.
Yeah.
I'm asking.
No, it seems entirely done, like just a metal model of an Astrolabe.
Are we gonna toss this off the ship, or are we gonna put it in containment and take it back
Oh,
to
my-
headquarters? Or
Neither.
You want to
Is
like you haven't analyzed it like per se, like given a full like scan over.
Yeah.
As
Also,
go
you
ahead.
guys, are you still in Apache Banana mode?
once until this is contained, yes. So
Okay.
that's the thing.
So yeah, my
Apache
plan.
Banana mode's gonna be a thing for the rest of this game, guys.
Uh,
Y'all.
my plan is essentially to put this thing in somehow form of like stasis, essentially, so that I can analyze it safely without it fucking or trying to do anything. And then we can come out of Apache Banana.
Yeah. So however that would work, like if there's like I know we don't have a brig because that was an upgrade option, but if we have like something we can do with the mech.
Oh, I was going to build something. Yeah.
We got the mech bay, right? That was the upgrade that we chose.
Yep.
Yeah.
So something in the mech bay, Plark would put it there so that when we do turn all the power back on, that would.
I mean, if I had to, I was just going to like try to generate like a small shield around it or something and suspend it in there.
So he would say,
That's possible.
I believe powering it would be a mistake. Keep contact inert.
The shield wouldn't be able to power anything. It would simply suspend it from being able to access anything outside. Like sort of how I did with our shields, just smaller.
Acceptable. And he would put it down. And I don't know if I could do it from here manually or verbally or whatever, or if I'd have to go back to like the vault, the locked switch to turn that back off.
Once again, this is a question about the ship, right? And the domain of how the ship's set up.
Yep.
You're good. Are we cool with an option,
I was
y'all?
about to say, I feel like if there's any place to do it, my work, like engineering, having an override for like or something in case of like.
Yeah, like you can't do it anywhere on the ship, but there are like the engineering hub or the mid drive space. It's a couple different.
It's sort of like that thing where if for some reason the helm of the ship was to explode, you could pilot the ship from the engineering room.
Yeah.
So like,
second brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what they don't tell you in those classes is that if you have to pilot the ship from engineering, odds are you don't have engines left. Like odds are the rest of your ships are really messed up.
I mean, depends on if you have a sole engineer on your team.
That's true. You know the ship better than anyone.
See, that's how regular ships work.
Right.
This is a soul ship.
All right. Yeah.
Edges everywhere.
Yeah. So Ben, Plark could totally do that, right? I feel like we have the answer to your question. Yeah, you could totally, especially since we're in the mech bay, you would have that power.
You folks don't know that the secret for soul engineering, that it's all just metal strapped to one giant rocket. Like it's all just all one big engine.
Yeah.
We're just in it.
Right.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let it slide that you guys could just like snap your fingers and have the machine though. It sounds like you guys are need to like, do something here in the workshop to build this cage.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's my plan. Like my plan is to engineer, like if I have to take my personal shielding module or whatever and like jury rig it and stuff, like my plan is to build a thing to isolate it so that I can study it with like electronic devices and not have it mess with them.
Sure. So I think, is that material science and mechanics to like build this thing here?
Material sciences or mechanics, both make sense.
To basically like build this, not like necessarily a Faraday cage, but something approximate.
Yeah. Do you have a preference on which? Because obviously if I can, mechanics is my preferred one, but if I can't, that's okay.
Do you have a fabricator?
I mean, it's a workshop for dealing with like, I could essentially build a robot here, so probably, yes.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just a former project. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if it's. Yeah, you have a workshop for it, so it's. But this is going to be hard, right? So it's going to be 4.
No, I get that. I get mechanics or
especially.
material.
Do you have a preference? I leave it. I think I will leave it up to you here.
I will choose mechanics in that case.
Right.
I have more dice in it.
Well, yeah. Okay. That still makes sense because like material science to me seems more like, you're relying more on like technology than your physical craftsmanship.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is this going to be a one roll quick hack or like a couple task project?
That's a good.
It depends on what you're trying to do, right?
So, I mean, I'm trying to build. I'm going to use my personal shield module to essentially. I'm going to take my shield and invert it essentially and place it around the thing, so that it can't, like, no energy can escape but can go in.
Hamster
then-
bullets.
So then
Yeah.
it seems like that's probably 2 tests then. Like one is to basically the mechanics test, and then there's probably a shield modulation test to make sure, you know what I mean?
My plan was to use a charge to use my shield dice in this roll, but that also works.
Oh, I see what you're saying. As you're building the machine to like keep it enclosed.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just going to use my energy,
Right.
what's it called, energy absorption dice for the roll as well.
Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. I see that. Okay. Right. Just I don't think this is long term enough of a project. Well, let me ask you this question: do you want to build something that's temporary or something that's long term?
Long term would be cool.
Okay. So then this is going to actually cost you a bit of supply to make.
Do we have any? Is that a thing I am authorized to spend?
You should have.
The former, yes. The latter, you'd have to talk to Plark.
Yeah, it would be implied, I think. I think this thing is arguably as valuable as whatever our bounty that we're sent out. So if we are in...
I think, yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
so yes.
I will spend that then.
Okay.
So let me just make sure I have the right amount of dice for this. Energy dissipator is 2, and I'm using its dice.
Yep. And so this
You
is
said
hard.
4.
Yep. Because it's hard only because you're trying to solve for all contingencies, which is enough.
So that's
Right. It's not so much as just like, it's a series of easy tasks, and doing them all is what makes it hard. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So it goes off well. You have successfully made a little long-term, very, like, describe for us what it looks like.
So it's like
Plasma shield,
she essentially took like her own personal shield module out of her suit, and like essentially took the lens in it that would generate the shield and inverted it so that the shield, rather than protecting like what's inside, is just going to like specifically like the a shield can do multiple things. It can absorb energy and absorb kinetic energy. It's doing like radiation and electronic signals and stuff rather than physical things. So like you could physically put your hand in it if you wanted to. Probably shouldn't. It'd be real tingly. But like electronic signals can travel in but can't travel out, and so it's just going to be like this floating blue sphere that is going to be like this thing is going to be placed in, and is just going to be like in the corner of the workshop.
Okay.
Like,
can you analyze it while it's in this thing?
Yeah, that's why I inverted the shield, so that signals can go in but can't travel out. So I can analyze it while and like do things to it, but it can't send things out to fuck with our stuff.
Sure. Okay. Cool. That was the big question. All right. Sounds good then. Do you want to? Yeah. So you have this thing under control. You have ship has been stabilized. Everything's under control. It seems like everything was kind of culminating to it finding a place to.
I do have one last thing to talk to
Build this
Clark
thing.
about, though.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, like after that thing's stable and everything, I like walk over to Plark because I think Plark was probably observing while I built this thing and like made sure it didn't do anything. I'm gonna be like, if those signals reach the actual astrolabe, there could be repercussions across the galaxy, or whatever our term is.
So Plark would seem kind of pensive or thoughtful for a moment, and suggestions.
Destroy the signal? I have no love lost between me and
What if we change the signal? Like that first message that may have got disrupted when I deciphered it the first time. But we could sort of make a field to burst through and translate them so they're not the same as they are now.
That would also put us at risk of having the same thing that happened today happening again. However, rather than us putting our ship at risk, if we wished to change the signal, I could potentially do so at its source.
Well, isn't it in the air now?
So quick pause. Sorry, this is a good conversation, but I want to clarify with Eric Universe questions. Ships are the only way to go FTL, or is that not true?
Not true for the old gold. The old gold still can do basically quantum folding space travel, which is communication, which is what you are encountering. It still takes time, but it's faster than stuff. And this is because of the astrolabe. This is one of the technologies that they have. Consider it special, something to them that gives them sort of power. Right?
Normally, like we couldn't duplicate this type of technology.
Absolutely not.
So, because what I was getting at was Plark might consider sending our own message to them as a warning first, but if we can't do that, then the second question is, what would be, sorry, Alice, but what would be quicker, the message or our ship?
The message.
Well, I also asked earlier, like if we were to try and race it, it would get there first, but also we could get to the source before the signal reaches them.
Correct. You could find the source of this before anyone else could reach it.
Which my hope, and like Hush is going to convey this to everyone.
Translate it there.
Is like you could translate it too, but Hush's hope is to take the signal offline before it reaches them, so they don't know things are going wrong, and also so this thing doesn't do whatever it was doing to our ship to the astrolabe, so that they don't know we have this advantage or information, but also that their astrolabe will fuck off, because that would fuck up their entire society. As much as Hush doesn't like them, maybe doesn't want to cause almost a practically genocide of an entire
Yeah, right. So the other question then is, and this is just like a physics question, I guess, or metaphysics, is if we were to mess with the source, is the assumption that would affect the signal that's already been sent? Or because I think that's what Gene is saying, is like, since it's already shot, it's a missile in the air effectively, so us shooting the ship that it came from is irrelevant at that point.
Well, it depends on whether it's a constant signal, as in it is being, or it was
it's a message
thing.
The message. Right. So when a message, I didn't really think about this. Sorry, but I love the idea that you can, because it's quantumly entangled. So if you could affect the node of the point, you could literally change the message before it got to the other.
I buy it. I buy it.
Transit, and so by the time it gets there, it's as long as those 2 points are the same, it worked.
Right.
Yeah,
and
so Ray is down with Hush.
So technically, yes, you could do that.
Yeah, so Hush is just like, if you get me to the source, I can maybe do something.
Okay. Oh, wait. And
Quantum hand waving.
They come back in the hallway and they're holding up that little robot that's still beeping, kind of wrong. It's like, yeah.
Thank you.
So Clark would just ping Chuck. I don't know if he's still here in the mech lab or if he wandered off, but he would just say,
Chuck was like, I can't do anything else here. I'm going to go back and steer.
Work here's done.
Course correction. New navigation to the source of the signal. Full power.
All right. How crazy do I have some Hush assistance on
Navigation? Yeah, I can chart a course for us first.
Because you've got 5, I've got 4. Either way is totally fine.
Sure. I'm happy to chart a course first, and then you can do a piloting roll. I like do this. All right, cool.
Use ship charge, because, I mean, why not?
Sure, I will use ship charge.
And then get another 10 successes, and we'll get them back.
God, that's
just that.
Yeah. So astronavigation, submit. How many dice do I get from using ship charge?
Oh, that's a great question. Asking me things I don't know.
Typically 1.
Well, it's based on our system.
Right, you're using it to activate a system.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So like it's more like a enabler than an actual die.
This would use the grav drive fold inducer, I assume, and the fold inducer is a 1 die bonus for charge.
Cool. We will get.
It behaves like your suit.
Yep. Threat.
3.
Boop.
Air piloting.
5.
Crit. Get that energy charge back, my friend.
We are maxed out on charge.
Awesome. And then that's where we'll call it for tonight, as you guys are racing off to the source of this signal. Y'all, welcome to the first episode of Free Spacer.
That was great. Lovely.
way more hacking than I expected to do already. That was.
If you guys, I know, I couldn't help but put some bait in this game, you know.
I built an engineer. Like I expected some. It was just way earlier than I expected. But yeah,
Right.
no.
I think it's a good way to actually to segue us all together while we're still on the ship. Like we don't have to
Yeah.
interact with anything else outside. So that was good.
Right. Yeah.
That's
I wanted to spend a session of getting used to the mechanics, getting an idea of our characters, and so a bottle episode is kind of what I chose.
Totally.
But it was very fun, and I cannot believe that Adam, you started off being like, "What's this weird blip on the screen?" Because that was fucking absolutely perfect. Shout out to-
I want that relationship. That relationship is like my character as a heart.
Oh
He
yeah.
wouldn't go anywhere without Hush.
God, I
Didn't
feel
think
so
I'd be
bad for.
panicky.
I feel so bad for Hush. Like I originally pictured Hush as way more like angry and just like things like that. No, she's just tired a lot. And just real like
Things always go wrong.
she's just real tired and makes you short with people.
Yo, this was super fun. You guys
Yeah, it
are
was
a
good.
great. You all are a great cast. You know, I'm very happy with how this is turning out.
Yeah.
Real quick. Can we do a quick little like, what was everyone's favorite like moment of the game tonight?
Sure.
And then we'll do some outros.
Oh, favorites.
I mean, I have one really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I
go
just
by
love
interest.
I just love the way the voice that Ace is doing for Ray. It's just really
Yeah.
it's just
You
really
mean-
cute.
My Cockney / Welsh / New Zealand
The
Southern. I
voice-
think I got one once.
The voice doesn't remind me, but somehow like it does of Morden. You just remind me of Morden. Anyways.
If we're talking voices, Clark
Clark.
Yeah.
Clark is my favorite.
Yeah. Every
Clark is my-
time.
Thank
Do
you.
you have sufficient cycles? As he's
God,
just
my
sitting
snake has been
in
so
the-
inconsistent.
in this rigid beanbag. It's just the best scene. It's like super like Jodorowsky, you know, like Dune. Like it's very. Do you have sufficient cycles? Like as you're like with the
Like
cyber
how
thing on
somebody
your
in
face.
space would be viewed from the 70s.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
super. Oh yeah, love it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
but I'm also noticing like the Hush has you've just got enough so that every so often I notice it and it's like
Yeah.
so cool.
It's really good.
I
I'm
also love
terrible
how
at
tired you are. Just like, what? No.
I love the idea too that Hush is just like hyper competent and like we take her for granted a little bit. Like we don't actually understand how good she is.
And it's super personal. I love how I failed everything. Even the D6 got a
Yeah.
1 on it. It's
We're just like buffoons a little bit, and Hush is like 10 successes.
It helps me out. Makes
Just like, let me build this and also fix this and also make sure we get there on time and also, yeah.
yeah.
Just
and I'm like, I can't put my suit on.
and then you're like, please help me get in my suit.
Yeah.
It's
Also,
super fun.
the lounge, though. What happened to the lounge?
I mean, the panel. I can put the panel back on. We can buy a new name machine.
Yeah.
So
I think the after credits of this thing is just like Ray, like just holding up a little tear, like looking at the game machine. And what's that sad dog song? Sarah McLachlan plays.
Arms of an angel.
Yeah.
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 That
All those high scores, they're lost now.
Zero,
we
zero,
beat the
zero.
ship, and yeah. It was like just Ray, Hush, Ray.
Yeah, I like different parts of my name though, so it doesn't make any sense.
Oh god. That's amazing.
Yeah, my favorite, I think, actually was just how good everybody keyed off of everybody else. Like, I just really enjoyed that. There's something about like the social energy of that when that's going well. That's makes it refreshing. You know, it's not tiring to play when that's happening. So that was really good.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, it's a little like addicting in a way. Like it's a little and yeah, it's energizing is like maybe the better way of putting it. Being like, yeah, I'm into it. I'm grooving. That happened quite a few times.
When everyone's outside of the carousel, no, the wheel that spins on a playground.
Yep.
Merry-go-round.
That
Yep.
thing. And everyone's
Yep.
kind of pushing it a little faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. Good work, everybody. All right, that was awesome. This was episode 1. We'll be back next week with episode 2. Let's do some outros here. Let's go the reverse order of how we started, because I'm wild like that.
You're gonna throw everything.
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Throw the script out the window.
If Faye goes first.
I think it's Eric first, right? No.
If
It's
full reverse,
technically me.
yeah.
I'm always last. I'm always last.
Oh.
Ben, tell
You
us.
want me to
Tell
go?
us. Yeah, tell us who you are. Anything's going on.
I'm not that interesting. So you can Google my name. I'm pretty well branded. There's a Ben Dutter that lives somewhere out in Wisconsin or something. No relation that I'm aware of, but I'm the cool one. But I make role playing games. So if you'd like, it's like 7 different versions of D&D by way of Ben's brain, then look me up.
Yeah. Dazer.
Oh, it's me. I thought it was Adam. I was like, okay. If I also write role playing games, and there's going to be a big update to my Patreon, so keep an eye on Twitter for that. And so much happening. I will tell you next week. I just need some time. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can tell you.
That's fine. That's cool.
Hi, I'm Alice, also known as Tafcat around the internet. You can find me on Twitter and Patreon and stuff. I'm also a game designer, because everyone is. I'm making a game called Kiss It Before the World Ends, which is a game about like relationships and self-care and at the end of the world and things like that. So if you're interested in things like that, that's updates on that are on my Patreon. Also, I stream on Twitch, also at Tafcat, Tafkat, and I just got a sub button yesterday. So you can sub to me and stuff. I'm gonna be getting emotes soon. So yeah.
Awesome. Seriously, congratulations on making a
Thank
affiliate.
you.
Sweet. Well, fine then. I won't talk about my game design stuff. I'm Adam. I'm at HackerBlinks, and I'm at hackerblinks.bandcamp.com if you want to see my music / listen to my music, depending on whether you're Plark or not. And one of those is programmatically generated music. So if you click on Oberon, it's really weird, and some of it's like 12 minutes long, and it's kind of light little ambient madness. And I want to write something for the stream, but I'm freaked out about the whole thing. So you can feel free to use it if you want, Eric, and
Okay.
as long as I don't have to be worried about whether it's good or not. Eric, how about you?
Yeah. All right, everybody. Yeah, I'm Eric. I'm EricVulgaris on all of the spaces. If you're watching this, you probably know how to find me because you're watching my stream. So what I'm going to say instead is you should go find this game on Kickstarter. I'm going to do one more time, Free Spacer. The command there. Definitely go back this. I'm going to upload, in addition to this episode, we're going to be on next week. In the middle of the week, I'm going to upload our prep episode where we got together and came up with our world. I didn't want to lead off with all of this stuff because this game has a lot of upfront prep. And I know that's not necessarily the best thing you want to watch, but it's super fun to do together as a group. This game, so like, I want to share that, but I wanted you guys to get an experience with the system and mechanics and stuff like that first. Before you see all of the prep and everything involved in the back end of this game. The big thing that drew me to this game is like, boy, that's a wall of a lot of prep. But when you play, it's very smooth. The pull system is very nice. Like it's I like it a lot, and which is a big attraction when I have to games being like, well, if I'm going to invest all this effort into building a world, the system better be good, and it does, and it is, and it's really nice. I feel really supported and coddled. And Christoph has done a great job coddling me too, with any extra bits of the rules that and things and changes in art and stuff that they've been updating over time. So thank you so much. Seriously, I highly recommend backing this game. It is a lot of fun, and I can't wait. We have about 6 more episodes to go for the show, so it's gonna be great. I can't wait. We're gonna see how many contracts we get done. And how many side adventures we get done as well. So hopefully you guys stick around and continue watching for the adventures of the DEV Jin Chimera. All right, everybody. So that's it for us tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. and we're gonna get out of here. All right. So take care.